Enough for the intro music, man. Yeah, level-headed Knicks talk on a Thursday. A little bit of a late start, but a lot of things to talk about, man. We got a great show lined up for you. You now rocking with the most poppin' Knicks YouTube channel on the net. I am the objective Knicks fan, straight out of Kings County, New York City's finest. And you know the vibes. And yeah, I had to strike this up, man. I missed last week's show. Didn't want to miss another show. And a couple of things to talk about today. We got 3 topics, maybe 2.5. We'll see, depending on how the time works. We'll get to the third topic. But we're definitely going to be talking about what you guys probably seen, what probably brought you to the video. We're going to be talking about, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I feel like the Knicks will outshine the Sixers. Though it seems right now the Sixers have overtaken the Knicks in terms of the projections of who the best teams that have the ability to win the championship. I believe the Knicks is 4th on that list and the Sixers is 3rd on that list. So they did overtake us, but I'm going to tell you why as the season continues, we will, I repeat, overtake the Sixers, outshine them, outdo them. Another topic I want to talk about is, first off, I'm going to salute CP from KnicksFanTV. He had the news on fire yesterday. I came across an article because I read every single piece of news that deals with the Knicks. And he basically put out there that the Knicks may not be done this offseason, and they may look to trade Julius Randle for Towns. Now, I know my man, first off, salute the coach from the Discord server. He was always big on Towns. He kept mentioning Towns. So we're going to really talk about this Karl-Anthony Towns Randle thing. I know I said I was done with it, but because the news went so crazy viral yesterday, we're going to address it. Salute the coach in the building early. Yeah, we're going to talk about Towns today, coach. That's one of the topics that's on the board today. So let's see. Salute the Knicks Yak in the building as well. He says they overvalue LeBron and George. That's a fact. We're going to get to that for sure. Definitely. They definitely overvalue LeBron and George. And listen, it's not to say that they're not great players. I'm going to give you an example. Like when I talk about Jalen Brunson and Steph Curry, I say right now, in my opinion, Jalen Brunson is better than Steph Curry. Not career. Now, if you want to talk about what Steph has done in his career, Steph is the best point guard in NBA history. So sometimes, especially NBA and baseball especially, are the 2 sports that value your production based off past performance. Football, you'll get cut because your money ain't even guaranteed in football. It may be half your contract. Some of the stars have guaranteed contracts or mostly guaranteed contracts. In the NBA, it doesn't work that way. If you don't perform in the NBA, you're still going to get paid. And they typically pay you for the work that you've done previously. You don't get paid for your future value. So that's typically how it works, in most cases. So that's why they overvalue LeBron and Paul George. They look at the stuff they've done in their legacy in their past, and they, in my opinion, like the man just said, they overvalue it. So we're going to get into that. Third topic, I think I'm going to start with this topic off rip, is going to be talking about Jalen Brunson and what will he resign. Tomorrow's the deadline. Well, not the deadline. Tomorrow is the day where he can actually choose to accept the offer that's on the table. I believe it's a 4-year, $159 million deal that's on the table right now that he can accept tomorrow, or he can wait till next season where that money definitely goes up $100 million just for it aging the year. He doesn't have to do all NBA and nothing like that. He will be eligible next season to sign a 5-year, $270 million. That's a mega-sized contract. So there was some reports earlier in the week that said that Jalen Brunson may actually consider signing the deal. So I think I want to start there. But salute Dwayne Dennis oh man, Dwayne Dennis. Look, Dwayne, I'm not sure if you're in the Discord. To anybody that wants to argue any point that I say, join the Discord server. The link is in the description. Link is in the chat. You can also scan the barcode that's on the screen. Okay. We could debate the Magic Johnson. This is a Knicks show. Can't go off the rails, but I can guarantee you, then Dwayne, that I have a very compelling argument for Steph Curry. salute to Magic Johnson. He's the legend, but I'm taking Steph all time. That's just my opinion. You want to talk about that? Get in the Discord. We do got a 24/7 NBA chat. Let's see, Knicks Jack. Crazy thing, we also mentioned another rotation player to match contract for Cat who doesn't want to play center. Yeah, exactly. No, but here's the thing. I have an article saying that it's not even going to be Mitch. They're talking about Josh Hart. This thing has gone crazy. I'm going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But I'm going to let the people pile in the building. We're going to get to that. We got 3 topics. We're going to talk about the CP, Karl Anthony Towns. We're also going to talk about the flagship, which is, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why we're going to outshine the Sixers. But I'm going to start with Jalen Brunson as the people pile in. So I'm going to jump into research mode early. And I want to talk about Jalen Brunson because I think that we really have to unpack what Jalen Brunson could do for the Knicks. Now, I'm in research mode. So to those that's familiar with the channel, you know we put everything on the screen. We don't duck and hide from nothing. We want to make sure the information is correct. So we jump into research mode. What I want to pull up right now is I want to pull up the Knicks sports track because Jalen Brunson, if he opts into this contract tomorrow, you have to understand the ramifications or the implications, what this means. That it's going to be a huge news or a huge deal for a lot of reasons, not just the fact of the basics, which is Jalen Brunson wants to be a Knick. It's going to be, hold on, I put Jalen Brunson. I meant to put sports chat. It's really, he will set up the franchise to possibly avoid any Abram. Now, I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. The NBA has just agreed to a new TV contract, and I believe it was 70-some billion, something crazy. It's a crazy number, right? So with them landing this new deal, what's going to happen is the salary cap will go up 10% every year while the deal, I think it's an 11-year deal. So the salary cap is going to go up 10%. I'm going to tell you why that number is important and with Jalen Brunson's cap in a second. So I'm pulling up the salary cap, right? All right, so right now, unless there's some new news. By the way, if there's any new news, we can discuss it, especially in terms of the backup center search. Right now, there hasn't been no new news. And so this is the current roster. Hold on, let me, because I know that it's cut off. So it gets cut off. Let me make sure that you guys can see it. Okay, pal. So make it a little bigger for you so you guys can see exactly what I'm looking at because it's kind of important, right? So Jalen Brunson, right? This is this season. Let me go to next season. So now we're going to look at all right, before I get to next season, I just want to show you something real quick. You see this number right here? This $140 million where the mouse cursor is? This is the salary cap right now, right? I said that the salary cap is going to go up an additional 10% next year. Okay, so 10% to 140, let's keep it easy. That'll be $154 million. That will be next year's salary cap. So what I'm going to do is we're going to hold on to that number and we're going to jump into next year's Knicks salary, right? Because I'm going to show, I just have to show you the implications as you guys keep pouring in. This is Level-Headed Knicks Talk. We got 3 topics. Later on, I'll be talking about Julius Randle. Hold on, let me just take this down. I'll be talking about Julius Randle Towns CP thing that happened yesterday. I also will be talking about the flagship, which was the 5 ways the Knicks will outshine the Sixers. Right now, I'm talking about Jalen Brunson and why tomorrow is so important. All right, so this is next year's salary cap off rip. So off rip, you see here that Jalen Brunson has a player option for $24 million. Just rip that up. That he's not going to accept that. So what will happen is the extension will replace that $24 million. Or I'm not sure if this is also another possibility. They can add the extension on to start instead of next year, the following year. That's another hack they can do. But more than likely, they'll rip up that $24 million contract from Jalen Brunson. As you can see it on the screen right here where the mouse cursor is, right? And then Julius Randle has the $30 million. You could rip that up. He's going to clear that because these 2 options are player options. These $30 million here, $24 million here is player option, right? Hold on to that. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to show you something. So yeah, they added it. So they added the 10% increase. So next year's the salary cap will be $155 million. Okay. Now let me see the cap holds. No real cap holds. Okay, cool. So we're going to play with some numbers now, right? So let's say Jalen Brunson, right? He decides to opt in this year and accept the 4-year what's that? The 159, right? Okay, cool. So the 4-year 159, let's just round it off to $40 million. Let's keep it simple. It'll be a little less than that, but just for fair math, we're gonna make it $40 million. Okay, cool. So Jalen Brunson's getting paid $40 million, right, this season, right? So right now, how they have the cap, our active roster cap will be $174 million, right? So what we can do is, let's just add an additional $15 million. An additional $15 million to that, because Jalen Brunson will be getting the $40 million, right? So I'm doing math right now. So instead of the cap being 174, let's make it 190. Okay, let's make it 190. As far as Mikal Bridges' contract, right? Because Jalen Brunson also taking less money can help Mikal Bridges too, because I don't think he has his option start yet. Let me pull him up. So we look at when okay, so does he have an option? No, he does not have an option. So this number for next year is locked in, right, for Mikal Bridges. So Mikal Bridges, he'll be up in 2027, right? So you got 2 years to get a Mikal Bridges salary done. I think if Brunson, especially if he takes that less money, that additional, I don't want to do math, let's just say it's $10 million a year, can be added towards Mikal Bridges. So it'll be him looking out for his boy. But that's neither here nor there. That's another a key thing about Brunson taking the money, right? Okay, cool. So now instead of so now we added $15 million to this cap, right? All right. So now this number is going to be $190 million. Okay, $190 million. That's going to be the active roster. Of course, there's cap holes there. We're not really worried about that. We're just playing with rough numbers right now, right? Let me show you why that $190 million is important. When you look at the aprons, right? Do you see where this first apron maximum begins? This is where you will get hit in the luxury tax. $196 million. So they can avoid the first apron, right? If Jalen Brunson. So basically, the Knicks won't become an apron team. So they won't have the crazy restrictions. However, what could hamper this is Julius Randle, right? Because he's an interesting guy. This is why CP also said that the Knicks want to trade Randle, because one, they may not want to pay him the $30 million, or maybe they want to consolidate and break up the Randle contract and bring in another piece. Well, he said Towns, that's a whole nother animal. I'm going to get to that in a second, why that's a whole nother animal. But depending on what Julius Randle wants, if Julius Randle wants similar to an OG Anunoby contract, then what I said pretty much goes out the window, because then you'll be in the aprons. But at least with just Jalen Brunson doing what he has to do, forget whatever Randle does. They could trade Randle. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with Julius Randle, but I'm just giving you a rough example as to why Jalen Brunson, him doing what he's doing, even if the Knicks have to go, let's say they want to keep Randle too. Even if the Knicks say, okay, we're going to keep Randle, but they can still stay within this $208 million apron window as well. Right? Because let me show you something. If Jalen Brunson, let's say Jalen Brunson wants to get the 5-year, right? The 5-year 270, right? So basically, if you want to do rough math, 5 times 5 would be 250, then add 5. So now $55 million a year. So you would take that same number here, this same number that we looked at right here, is 174. So instead of adding the 15, you would add the 25. So if you add 25 to 174, you're automatically, forget Randle, you're automatically above the first apron with Jalen Brunson. So it's a huge deal to avoid becoming, especially a second apron team. But with Randle, if we want to re-sign Randle, you will also become a first apron team, and you could avoid the second apron, depending on how they can manipulate contracts. And then the salary cap will go up another 10%, and then you have to take care of Mikal Bridges then, or work out the Mikal Bridges deal. But the goal is Brunson can prevent the Knicks from being a second apron team by doing that. Let me see what you guys talking about in the chat. I know I got a lot of people in the chat. Let's see. See what you got here. Okay, Cat isn't going to Cat's not getting $61 million a year. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. We gonna see yo, coach. Hold on, let me the wrong one. Let me get the dog growls. Coach, you know already they gonna be coming. You know they gonna be coming. Yes. Coach is right. Towns does not make $61 million. That will be the last year in his contract, which is like 4 years from now. So Towns is a $50 million contract. I'm gonna get into that for a second. I just want you to see the value in Brunson. Do you guys see the value in Brunson? Because that is key. What can happen tomorrow is a major key. I just wanted to start there. Let me see. See, AP says fake Stephen A. Smith. Pick the Sixers over the Knicks. Yeah, I'm gonna show you why that's crazy to me right now. And also the Sixers is done too. They don't got no more moves. All they could do is veteran minimums right now. So they might could get convinced of Lowry or somebody, but you know, anyone that's scary, yeah, the Sixers is done. Let's see. Oh wow, the chat is popping. Chat is popping. I'm trying to highlight some of the things I may have missed. I just want to make sure you guys understand the Brunson point. I'm gonna move on. But I just wanted to highlight Brunson, right? Why tomorrow is important, and then maybe depending on what happens between now and next week, maybe next week we'll unpack the Brunson decision because the decision will be made tomorrow. But honestly, it doesn't necessarily have to be signed tomorrow too. I say if by next week the deal isn't signed, hey, I'm gonna say it again. I told you so. Look, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but I do be dropping the sauce. I do on this pod. Let me see before I move to Randle, because we're gonna get into Randle next. Let's see. Nick Jack. Sorry, some CP takes are silly as Leon paying a player $61 million. Oh, that's what coach was responding to. First of all, salute the CP. I'm gonna jump into the next point right now. Hold on. Let me reset this here. Hold on. Can I take this out? Let me take this out. All right. And then maximize this. Okay, bet. So look, so this is what we're talking about when we're talking about CP. Yesterday, CP had, first off, the day before yesterday, there was no news. It was dry as hell. So I expected like it's going to be something's going to wake up the Knicks, because, the media can't go without talking about the Knicks every day. Literally, even during the off season, there's always a story that's going to trigger fans and things of that nature. I don't think CP was doing that. I think CP, he really believes that the Knicks are capable of making another deal. I'm gonna say off the rip, while I salute CP, and by the way, CP also is not in agreement with the trade, right? He likes Randle, so CP is not advocating for Randle to go. He's just based off of information he may have. I'm not saying he knows anyone. I'm not saying nothing like that, but he did make a couple allusions I want to get into, right? So the first thing he said was that the Knicks are big fans of Karl Anthony Towns. And it goes back to, as coach would say, CAA Mafia. And they're really fond of the idea of bringing Towns to New York. Now, every single year, especially since, even before I think Leon Rose took over, every single year, and I'm not exaggerating, there has been a rumor in regards to Karl Anthony Towns being traded to the Knicks. We can go back as many years as you want to go back, even before Leon Rose. Once Leon Rose got here because of the CAA Mafia, right? That's when there's been a lot of proponents for, oh yeah, now that added factor, Towns will or should be a Knick, right? And it just never happened. And right now, as we speak, I don't really see it happening unless, because also to be fair and to give CP some credence, we didn't see the Mikal Bridges trade happening, right? That came out of nowhere. I literally on the pod said 2 weeks earlier, I said the Nets will never do a trade with the Knicks. Because matter of fact, salute to Garfield podcast. I had a private conversation with him and he was telling me, and I don't know, it just seems like he be on the money sometimes. I don't know if it's because he talked about OG Anunoby. He was talking about OG Anunoby 2 years ago, right? Trading RJ for OG Anunoby because he never liked RJ. And then they wind up doing that. I was like, whoa, I didn't see RJ going in the deal. I saw it quickly going in the deal, right? And then fast forward, he also talked about Bridges, but his trade involved Donovan Mitchell. It was Bridges to the Knicks, Mitchell to the Nets, and then Cleveland getting picks and stuff like that. So that was the original deal idea he had. And then this Bridges, I told him it would never happen. Fast forward, Bridges deal happened. So what CP is saying could possibly be true, right? There is no trail of it in the media, right? Because look, I got this article right here before I even get to this one. How many of you guys read this? I know a lot of you guys are Knicks fans. Let's see if I got it right here. Boop, 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 boop. How many of you guys saw the article that brought up Knicks Mikal? How many of you guys saw this article? Mikal Bridges trade did not trigger plan to move Julius Randle, right? And so here, this was Ian Begley. This is what he said at the time. He said the acquisition of Bridges did not trigger a distinct plan to trade Randle. That doesn't mean things didn't change. But once this article came out, I don't remember seeing any other credible reporters talking about Randle being moved. So this is why when CP brought it up, this is why SI, the T-Wolves SI, right? Their fan nation, they picked up the article. And it wasn't just them. It was also on Bleacher Report. It was everywhere. CP was everywhere the other day, right? But I got this article here from SI, the fan nation, the Minnesota Timberwolves fan nation, right? So CP said, I don't think they're done. He said, I think there's one more move they want to make, and there's a big swing that they want to make, right? This is what he said on his show. This was on Tuesday. And then, like I said, he said they're bigger fans of Karl Anthony Towns, right? And the reasoning behind it was he said that the Knicks can play 5 out like the Celtics, right? You see how the Celtics have KP, Tatum, Brown, White, Holiday? They're saying the Knicks want to do the same because the proposed trade would be Randle, and according to, and this is, like I said, you got to be careful where you read from, right? According to this article here, they said that it will be Julius Randle, who's slated to make the $30 million. Towns is making $49 million next year. And they added Josh Hart to the deal. Josh Hart and Randle for Towns. CP didn't say that. This is what SI Minnesota said, okay? It's funny. There's no way they're going to trade for Mikal Bridges, right? I can say that without even any, worries or concerns, because there's no way you're going to trade for Mikal Bridges and then trade Josh Hart. Just doesn't make sense, right? Just doesn't make sense. But this is what they're proposing on SI Minnesota, okay? Now, remember, Minnesota is a second apron team. So those restrictions we talked about on the last Never-Headed Nick Talk pod episode, you could go back and watch that too. I broke down second apron to a T. So when you have a second apron team like Minnesota, it restricts your ability to make trades, right? So the one fact you have to have, the number one fact when you're trading as a second apron team is you have to trade exact value for exact value. No trade exceptions. That means that Karl Anthony Towns makes $49 million. The Knicks have to trade $49 million in salary. It has to even out. There's no exceptions. However, also when you're a second apron team, you have to trade the equal amount of players. So the 2-for-1, which would be Randle and Josh Hart, which is laughable. There's no way that's happening, right? Minnesota would have to add another player to the deal and do similar to what the Knicks had to do when they did the Bojan deal, and they added Shake Milton, and they took on the other kid from the Nets, right? So you're going to have to balance players and salaries, what makes the deal even harder. especially when the Knicks is fighting a potential hard cap situation and they're right below the first apron. And, it's a lot of politics and issues with the dollar signs, right? So just based off sheer dollar signs, to me, it's not going to work. But I know you guys ain't feeling Josh Hart, right? Coach says Hart is going nowhere. Don't do it. He said, what's up? Everybody saying what's up, man. Who's paying Precious 16? No one's paying Precious 16 to 12 million. Right now, the only team that has money, it's a couple, but Detroit can give him the mid-level exception if they wanted to. I don't think so because I don't think there's a market there. Right now, Precious is trying to avoid getting the $5 million exception that second apron teams, whatever second apron teams are that have any exception money left, that's the most he can be paid. So the Knicks can still give him that same exception. So if you can get $5 million from the Knicks and you could get $5 million from the Lakers, you're probably going to take the Knicks offer. So that's the thing with Precious, right? But let's get back to this trade. So you guys ain't feeling the trade, right? None of the Brunson boys, exactly. But I thought this was laughable. That's why I brought this article up because, of course, Minnesota, look, they even got the depth chart, right? Look at their depth chart. This would be crazy. Randle, Gobert, McDaniels with Josh Hart off the bench? Hell no. It's not happening. But what CP was saying was, to get back to CP, what he was saying is, here's what the Knicks lineup would be. It would be, the guy they can't even trade Mitch, but Mitch would be the better guy in the deal, but they couldn't do Mitch because the salaries don't match up. But your starting lineup would be Towns, OG, Bridges, Dante, Brunson. That would be the lineup. Do you guys think that lineup is better than the lineup we have now, with which would be with Mitch, Randle, Bridges, OG, Brunson? In my opinion, I like our lineup the way it is now because the bench is going to be way better because you're going to have Dante and Hart off the bench, right? And then Towns, I'm going to get to why I don't like Towns. But let me see if it is any more details. I told you about the CAA Mafia connections, right? And then, okay, now we could talk about Randle's extension. See, the numbers that I painted to you earlier is important, right? With the whole Jalen Brunson, because it goes back to Jalen Brunson too. Jalen Brunson right now, he is holding the cards, right? Because Jalen Brunson can honestly prevent the Knicks from going to the second apron, depending on whether he signs that extension, right? So when you look at Randle to me is the biggest question mark on the team. And let me show you why I say that. Because this contract next year, Randle can literally do a Paul George and walk. So CP's logic is at least get Towns for him. So that way you're not just going to lose him, right? That's another logic to this whole deal because CP asked, where is Randle's extension? Which is a really good question because, and I think I talked about this before. I said the Knicks should have signed Randle in prior year. Well, not prior year. I'm not gonna say prior years. I'm gonna say they should have got a Randle extension done with the success of last season. But the reason why they didn't get it done, I know why, because he didn't have a good playoffs. If Randle would have balled out and had a good playoffs, he probably would have got the Pascal Siakam contract, the 5 for 189, all for it. Now with Randle waiting, right? Randle can have a great year. See, Randle having a bad year and a great year, the bad year hurts the Knicks and Randle. We don't want that because now that lowers his trade value. Yes, it does lower his contract, but if you get into a situation where you want to, and by the way, I don't want to trade Randle. So for the Randle lovers and the Randle haters, I'm the objective Knicks fan. I don't have no hate nor malice to nobody. So I'm in the middle, okay? I'm looking at it from both sides. If Julius Randle has a bad season, he gets hurt and he misses another playoffs, that's bad. If Julius Randle misses another playoffs, that's worse than him playing bad in the playoffs. If he misses another playoffs, yeah, that's going to drop his stock down dramatically. That also will drop his trade value down dramatically. So if you think you're going to get an all-NBA caliber player for Randle at that point, you're going to lose. So the goal would be to want Randle to do well. Now, Randle doing well helps him out a lot. It can help us too because he'll be another. Hey, if he's an All NBA All Star again, that'll be great. But now money. What's to stop Randle from not saying, hey, I want the 5-year 270. I want the 5-year 300. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that's how Randle's thinking. We don't know what's in the man's heart. We do understand that he loves New York, right? He's everywhere. He was at the Empire State Building. He goes to games. He lit up the Empire. What else he did? No, he lived the Empire State Building. He went to games, right? He's everywhere. Okay, so I think he loves to be in New York. However, like I said, him playing well means the bag goes up. Means all of this apron stuff we were talking about. This apron stuff. Hold on, I could get it back on the screen so I could show you exactly what I'm talking about. All of this apron stuff in 2026, right? You're going to be in the second apron because Julius Randle getting the $50 million, $45+ million will bring you up to here, which is what I don't think no one really wants to get to into that second apron. But the TV money going up helps. But CP and a lot of people especially who are not favorable of Randle, they're pointing this fact out, and it is a glaring fact. So I'm not sure. What do you guys think about Randle? Let's see what's going on in the chat. Salute to the chat. AP said let him go to Brooklyn. If we were gonna let him go to Brooklyn, we should have did the trade for him instead of Bojan. Yeah, Luck says I don't want any parts of that stank cat. I'm not gonna say he's a stank cat, right? The cat. But I'm going to say I don't want Karl-Anthony Towns. And I'm going to get to that in a second. No, I say give Detroit their own pick back. Take Precious in Minnesota wanting. Just say my take is bad. Don't lie about what I'm saying. Okay, they get into a debate in the chat. Let's see. Trey mentioned another player, not McBride, for 2 centers. Okay, so we talking about the Detroit trade. The only rotation player I'm moving is Randle. Detroit pick is mute if it gets you Cat. So, but the problem with Karl-Anthony Towns is the only player that you can trade for Towns is Josh Hart, because Josh Hart off rip. Let me show you. So look, let me go back to this year's schedule. This year's cap. Right, the only players you could play for Josh Hart. Remember, Josh Hart is getting paid the $18 million, right? And Randle's getting the 28. So hold on, 18 and 28. That's about around $47, $48 million, right? So look, this is what Town makes. This is what Town made. Let me pull up Towns in another tab. Pull up Towns in another tab. Let's duplicate. And then we're going to pull up Towns' exact salary because it has to match. It has to match. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let me pull up Towns. I was going to pull up, I'm going to do Minnesota. I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to pull up Minnesota so we can see exactly what their sports track is. Let me see. Minnesota sports track. Because the deal is not as easy as we're saying it. I know you guys are talking about Detroit too. I'm not trading Randle to Detroit. If anybody's saying trade Randle to Detroit, no, that's a no-go. No-go. Oh, I got to put the Timberwolves in there. Hold on. Timberwolves. So we can get to the bottom of this. Salute to the debate in the chat, y'all. Listen, Coach loves Towns, so be careful what you say about Towns. I see him going in. I'm not sure exactly what the conversation is about. But I do want to pull up Minnesota. All right, so look, this is Minnesota, right? So to the people who was talking about Towns' salary, right? Towns is making $49 million. Next year, he's getting the $53 million, right? He doesn't get the $61 million until 2028, the last year of his deal, just to be fair, right? Okay, cool. So right now, Towns is making $49 million. Like I said, when you add Josh Hart and Randle's contract, they made a mishap because I just thought about it. Look, if you had Randle and Hart's contract, That's less than $48 million, right? Because I don't want to round up because I think the numbers have to be even. Even if we say, all right, Randle's contract is $29 million, okay, and Josh Hart is 8, yeah, it's short. You're like $1 million short. You're like $1 million short. Because Towns is making $49 million, which even makes this trade even further complicated because you still got to add a player. Look at their salaries here. Now, I'm not sure what the salary count would be for a two-way player or if you could even trade a two-way player in a deal that offsets salary, but it would have to be one of these guys. Leonard Miller, Josh Minot. So the trade for Towns is very difficult to make. I'm letting you know off of the rip because even if it's just Josh Hart and Randle, it's going to be tough to make. Now, you could do this too. You could do, let's look at the other salary on the team. No, it has to be a Nova boy. Because even if you do Mitchell Robinson and Randle, it's not going to be enough money. So it would have to be Josh Hart. And I know Josh Hart's not going. So that's why when CP is saying what he's saying, that deal will be very hard to do because Minnesota's not allowed to take exceptions, right? So you're going to have to get a third team that's going to have that much salary to send there. It just becomes, I'm letting you know right now, the Towns trade, very complicated. It will not be a simple trade. It will have to have a lot of pieces to it because Minnesota, they're a second apron team. So there's limits to how they can move. Let's see. Hopefully you guys are being good in the chat. Let me see what's going on in this chat. Minnesota should keep Cat and Gobert, focus on Edwards. The problem is, and I think I don't think CP spoke about it. He might have. The problem with Minnesota is they spent too much money, guys. They got to cut back on salary. So the logic for Minnesota is trade Towns for Randle, someone who makes less, but Randle honestly might want the same level of money. We don't know what Randle wants, right? We knew Isaiah Hartenstein said he wants the bag, right? Brunson is someone who's not really money motivated. So Brunson not taking the contract to me was, whether he takes it or not, I just think that he won't take it because I don't think you could leave $100 million on the table. I couldn't do it. But, Brunson is not as much money motivated. So Brunson probably would take the lower end of the bag. But Randle, I don't know. He's a wild card. I do believe, I'm not going to say I know. I do believe he is happy in New York. But OG Anunoby kind of opened up Pandora's box. It's like how your parents, like you a kid, let's use the kid analogy. Let's say your parents tell you do not go off the block, right? Because there's dragons and I don't know, there's trouble, danger, right? So you're restricted to the block. However, something happens and that forces you to leave the block. And now when you leave the block, you see something. You can put whatever you want there. It could be a girl, it could be whatever. You see something that catches your eye and now you can't unsee what you saw. That's what I think the OG Anunoby contract is. And look, here's why I don't want Towns. So salute to CP. And look, me and CP are in agreement that we like Randle. The one thing we disagree in is that CP thinks that Towns is a better fit in the offense. I disagree with that. I think what makes the Knicks special, especially if you watch that stretch of games, they went 12-1 when they had OG, Brunson, and Randle. The offense they did a good job of delegating responsibilities on offense. And Randle also chose to play more with his back to the basket, and he's averaging 5 assists a game. Another key fact that we have to remember and realize. However, when we talk about Karl-Anthony Towns, matter of fact, let me see if I can get a basketball reference on Towns right quick. Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm gonna show you something about him. The one reason why I don't want Towns, right? And it's because his production has dropped tremendously, right? He's no longer in his prime. Karl-Anthony Towns is a shell of the player he was in the past. And I'm not knocking Towns in terms of like making it seem as though his career is over. It's not. But let me put it on the make it bigger. All right, bet. So look, this is Towns' production, y'all, right? Towns was the rookie of the year, right? Then he went from straight 18 to 25 a game, killing. Dropped to 21. That's fine. I think they did have a good team this year in 2018, right? But then 2019, right? He went back up. He was an All-Star, 24 game, 24 and 12. Then he was 26 and 10, 24 and 10, 24 and 10 again, right? Third team All-Star, right? And when you look at him in the last 2 years, he did have a major injury, but ever since that injury, and you look at his production now, I know you're going to argue and say, oh, well, he's playing with Anthony Edwards. In New York, you're going to be playing with Jalen Brunson. His production to me is not someone who I would want, nor do I think it's a better fit than what Randle's already given me, because we already know what Randle's given us in this system. Randle was giving you the 25, the 10, the 5. So when Brunson is being blitzed, double team, or Brunson has a cold, or if Brunson is not going, you're going to need that other guy who can step up to the plate and make a difference. Towns have shown you that he's disappeared. Forget just the playoffs. If they want to say, well, Randle hasn't had a good playoffs, where's Towns' playoff stats? They're a little better than Randle's. We went over this like 4 pods ago, right? No, not even. The last time I said I wasn't going to talk about Towns no more because I felt like I put it to bed. But because CP brought it back to life, I figured we'd talk about it again. But his production to me has dropped. I think what Towns is a 20-8 guy. Nothing wrong with that. I know that Julius Randle is 25, 10, and 5. And you're going to need that person to take the pressure off of Brunson because Brunson does everything for us offensively. Right now, Mikal Bridges is someone that can create a little bit. We've seen OG create a little bit, but that's not really where their strengths are going to be in this offense, at least. Now, Mikal, I think maybe Mikal might be a little bit more freelance at times, more Mikal with the ball in his hands, especially when Brunson or Randle's off the floor. But realistically, when you look at what Dante does, what Hart does, with a lot of other, even Mitch, right? Mitch has to be fed lobs, right? All of the offense in terms of the playmaking initiation comes from Jalen Brunson. I think you needed somebody to take that pressure off of him. I don't think Towns does that. The 5 out is interesting. It is interesting, but I don't think that compromising your bench depth is worth it. Salute to Sadu Berry. He says Randle is better. Hell yeah, Randle is better right now. And I think we did a poll about that months ago talking about this. Towns is a jump shooting 4. No, Towns, Sherwin, according to CP, the Knicks want to play the 5 out. So Towns would be a 5. It would be Towns at the 5, OG, Bridges, Dante, Brunson. And another thing, too, CP was talking about it. CP said that he doesn't think Dante will like coming off the bench. I disagree with that. I think Dante has been off the bench. He came off the bench with the Warriors, right? He did start on the championship team when he was with Milwaukee. But at the same time, because it's his boy, Bridges, see, the key thing to this whole scenario is that Bridges is one of them. They're a family. If it was Paul George coming, so let's say Paul George was coming, and then you got OG with Paul George, I could see Dante May saying, I don't want, but because it's his homeboy, his man's in them, I think that Dante will be fine. But that is something that CP also says. So, yeah, when you look at Towns' production, man, it's been going downward. He did make the All-Star team last year. But he made the All-Star team because Minnesota was really good. If Minnesota was like a 5th seed, 6th seed in the West, he wouldn't have been an All-Star. I'm saying even with the same numbers. Julius Randle played 39 games and was an All-Star. So what are we talking about? Let me see what's going on in the chat. Cat is a better shooter than Randle. I agree. That's it. But look, Boston lives and dies by the three-point shot. If you make that move to Towns, that's what you're going to become. Because defensively, you're going to be the same. Like, I don't think that Towns makes the Knicks better defensively. I think because you have OG and Bridges, you're going to be top 3 at least in defense. Just with them 2 guys, and then Mitch too. But just with those 2 guys right there, yeah, you're going to be top 3 defense. So Towns doesn't really help them in no other way. And like I said, when you need a guy to step up and get that bucket, Towns has shown that he is unreliable. Now, like I said, you want to talk about, Randle in the playoffs? Let's talk about Towns in the playoffs. It goes both ways. It's just that Towns has more of a sample size than Randle. Remember, Randle's only played in 2 playoffs. By the way, there's a comment somebody left on my channel talking about Randle had 3-4 years in the playoffs. I said that's cap. He only had 2 years in the playoffs, and they coming for Randle. And I said the sample size is limited. He only played 10 games in the playoffs. This season, if he stays healthy, he could double that. If the Knicks go to the finals, he'll double his playoff games this season than he did in his whole career. So, I mean, the sample size is small with Randle. I'm saying give Randle another chance when he's healthy and ready to go. And also, Randle is very durable. That's another thing. Towns is not a durable guy. Yes, he did play 62 games last year, right? He fell short of the All-NBA minimum. But before that, it was 29 games. Then he did have 74 games. But look, before that, 50, 35. So Towns is up and down with his health. You know, Randle had a fluke injury. When you dislocate your shoulder, that's a fluke injury. Towns has multiple health issues over the years. Randle really just had the ankle, which is another fluke injury because you step on someone's foot, you twist your ankle. That's not something that is a lingering thing because he has no ankle issues going forward, right? He never had anything. Only thing you say with Randle with the ankle was he had a slow start. Let me see what you guys talking about. So a small forward, a small power forward, a soft center is not better than Mitch and Randle. Yo, I'm with you, Knicks, yeah. I don't think that lineup would be better with Towns. So when CP says that he's a better fit, I disagree with that. He's not an All-NBA team. Hasn't been an All-NBA teamer since 2021. Yeah, since 2021, he hasn't been an All-NBA teamer. So that means that he's not amongst the elite in the league anymore. He's an all-star capable player, but he disappears, and he likes to stand on the perimeter. The key thing about Randle, and if you want, I could pull up Randle too, so we can look at Randle. The key thing about Julius Randle is that man was taking you to the basket, right? That man will put you in the basket. I remember the game against Giannis. I'm not sure if it was the Christmas game, but one of those games he went head-to-head with Randle. With Giannis, he had like 30-something. You know, he outscored Giannis, might have even outbounded him, and he was taking it to the basket. He wasn't just sitting there settling for threes. Towns, he's going to sit there and settle for threes. If you want to use the defensive argument, Towns is a better defender than Randle. I don't think it's a good argument because who are you defending? Like, there's not too many power forwards that's going to kill you in the NBA that are like, I'm talking about pure power forwards. A lot of power forwards are not even really power forwards. Like Nick Shack said in the chat, he said that if you move OG to the power forward, he's a small forward playing power forward. Oh, yeah, OG can play power forward, especially he can come off the bench and play power forward, you know, when they run that bench lineup. But OG is not a starting power forward. That's a lot of wear and tear. You know, power forwards are big. They like to rebound, things of that nature. You do got some small point guards, some, you know, small ball size, power forwards, But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to find yourself being matched up with big guys, right? Whether it's Orlando with Ben Carroll, right? All the different teams that have size at the 4. Hold on, my tablet's going to die. Charge it. So, yeah, I don't think that lineup, the 5-out lineup, even offensively, I'm not going to say it's better. I think it's a dynamic offense. But that offense to me is all predicated on what Brunson can do. So look at what Randle's been giving you, right? Right. So when we compare Randle to Towns, look at Randle's production. So look, Randle started out slow, right? He of course he broke his leg, so you can't really count his rookie year. But look, 11 points, 13 points, 16, 21, 19, 24. Of course, he had the down year, which was 20 and 10, right? Honestly, this 20 and 10 from Randle would have been an okay year for Towns. Now, I think the biggest issue with Randle's 20 and 10 year was his 3-point shooting wasn't too good. His shooting wasn't the greatest, right? But fast forward to 2023, that's when he gave you the 25, the 10, and 5, and 4. He was like, there was like 3 or 4 plays that gave you that. I know it was Giannis, I think it was one. I think Jokic, maybe Embiid. That was the company that Randle was in, right? That was giving you those numbers. And then even last year, Randle, he played 46 games. I said 39. 46 games. He was an all-star, and he gave you 24 and 9. And what people forget to realize about last year was he started out slow. So what brought his numbers up was how he was playing right before the shoulder injury. How many of you guys remember when Randle was torching dudes? Point that I'm saying is that Randle, his production has been going up. When you go back to Towns, right? And I'll go back. When you look at Towns' numbers, right? Towns' numbers have been declining. Towns started out strong, but then he's been dropping off. And like I said, many of you guys say, oh, well, Anthony Edwards. I don't care. We got Jalen Brunson. It's the same thing. Jalen Brunson averaged more points than Edwards did last season. So, like, what are we saying? It's going to be the same thing. And then, like I said, he likes to stand at the 3-point line. So, let me see what else I got. Yeah, that's all on the Town stuff. Let me see what you guys talking about in the chat. Now, I'm going to jump into the Sixers stuff, and then we're going to wrap up. Salute to Barry. He going in for Randle. Yeah, man, definitely, man, definitely. We've been giving Randle another chance for 5 years. Cat has no lingering health concerns. So hold on, Cat. I'm a coach. Randle doesn't have no lingering health concerns, for sure. Like, Randle doesn't have no lingering health concerns. And look, I know Coach. Me and Coach, we battled about this months ago. I told Coach I will not talk about this again. But CP brought it back up, so we got to talk about it. Let's see. Oh, Coach, you want to see the numbers head-to-head? Let me see how I could do that. Hold on. I could do that. Hold on. Let me duplicate this tab. Coach wants to see the numbers head-to-head. All right, we're gonna put the numbers head-to-head for Coach. All right, so let me do a split screen. One second. I'm going to do a split screen for Coach. Hold on, I got too many windows. Hold on. I'm going to get it. I mean, you're going to see what I just broke down, though. I'm not sure what other, way you want to paint it. Oh, put the wrong window there. Hold on. You get the right window. I got a lot of windows, guys. Hold on. Make sure I got the right one. Okay, so this is the Towns, right? All right, bet. So now, pow. All right, we got it. So look, we got it head-to-head, right? So what do you want to look at, Coach? We got them head-to-head. Career numbers, of course, Towns has more careers where he has a better scoring average. But when you're only as good as your last season, if you ask me. Last year, Randle was giving you the 24, 9, and 5 before he got hurt. And honestly, these numbers were going up. He was working his way up to his normal 25 and 10, right? He had the slow start. So I mean, so what you want to talk about, Coach? I got them both up for you. Let's talk, right? Let's talk. Pow. So can't see the years and stuff, but look, these are the numbers. I'm just gonna go to the points. Randle's having the better last 4 or 5 years than Towns, if you ask me, because his production is dropping off. All right, so if you want to start, let's start in 2020? 2021. Let's start in 2021. He had the 24 points, right? In 2021, Randle had 24 points, right? Okay, cool. Randle in his off year, Randle had the 20 points. Towns had 24. Right, he sustained his 24, and he was All NBA 13. Okay. By the way, I'm not going to skip over this 2021 because this was Randle's best year. So in that same 2021, when they both averaged 24, Randle also was 8th in MVP voting. He was All NBA second team, All-Star, and Most Improved. Towns wasn't even an All-Star that year. But okay, let's move forward. Right, and also when you want to start their coach, because we started 4 years ago, he only played 50 games. So we're going to add that to the mix too, coach. All right? So you want to go head-to-head, we could go to head-to-head. I'll give you the Towns year in 2022 because that was Randle's off year. He had a better year than Randle, and he was third team in All-Star, right? Cool. But look at Randle's last 2 years. Randle last 2 years, except for the shoulder injury, to me is way better than Towns. Towns in 2023 averaged 20 points a game and didn't even give you 10 rebounds. The last time Towns gave you 10 rebounds was 2-3 years ago, right? Randle is consistently giving you 10 rebounds. So, and he would have gave you 10 rebounds last year. He just got hurt. And his numbers were going up. I can't remember. Some of you guys, Knicks fans in there, hardcore Knicks fans, you guys probably will remember when they had his average in like January was like 27, 12, and 7 or something crazy. Like Randle was on a tear before he got hurt, right? And that was a fluke injury. Towns is he's an accident waiting to happen. Listen, I like Towns. I think he's a solid player. I'm just saying for what we're doing in New York City, we don't need him. You said those numbers are not comparable. Randle just started. No, coach, I'm not doing the splits, man. Coach, listen, I'm not doing splits, coach. Why you want to do the splits? Hold on, let me see. Coach wants to do the splits. That's my man's enough. Hold on, let me see. So hold on. You got per 36. Wait. Per 100 possessions. What split you want to see, coach? We know that Towns is the better shooter. I'm just telling you the most traditional stats that we judge guys off of in basketball is points, rebounds, and assists. Points, rebounds, and assists. Randle is averaging more. Let me see. Oh, okay, coach. You says the shoulder is a lingering issue going forward. It's not. So Randle had no structural damage post-surgery, right? He had no structural. I'm sorry, post-injury. Remember, coach, where they did the X-ray and they said that there was no structural damage? That's key. Because if there was any structural damage, then that would be a concern. But so I can be accurate. Hold on, let me Google this right quick. I want to Google Julius Randle's surgery. Julius Randle doesn't have a lingering issue because the part that he got surgery on was the part that holds the shoulder in place. That was what was missing. Hold on, let me pull it up. Julius Randle shoulder. Hold on. I got to do this for coach. But Towns had multiple leg issues. He had the meniscus. He's injury prone. I wouldn't say Julius Randle's injury prone. Let me see. Julius Randle shoulder surgery. Let me see. All right. Let's see what they said right here. Will they say which part of the shoulder? Oh, let me make this big. Oh, no. This is showing that he's going into, let me see. Julius Randle sees injury shoulder. Let's see. I'm going to see if they could give me the technical definition. It's a part in the shoulder that he had to repair. And the part in the shoulder that he had to repair is what holds the shoulder, which gives the shoulder support. That was what was messed up, not the actual shoulder. Once he repairs that part, trying to get the name of it. Let's see. Is it the labrum? I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not a doctor, man. I know I do the health videos, but I just be reading a lot. I read a lot, so I can't remember the part of the shoulder, man. Let me see. I'm trying to get it, but it's the part of the shoulder that holds the shoulder in place. It's not going to be a lingering injury. Okay, look. So look, check this out. It says he had done everything possible to avoid surgery and return to the playoffs, but the procedure became increasing inevitability after recent visits to two specialists who warned him that further injury and possible permanent damage to the shoulder if he returned to play before a surgical procedure, right? So he needed the surgery to prevent that. They're not telling me what the part is, but it's a doctor, and Sam put the doctor's name. I can't remember his name. There's a YouTube dude. He breaks down the injury. I watched all the videos. He was telling you about it. Yeah, Randle's shoulder is fine. He's not going to have an issue with the shoulder unless he dislocates it again, which will be a fluke injury. So, that's a fluke. It's the same thing with OG Anunoby's elbow. Bone spurs, that's not a really that much of an invasive surgery, right? Once he got the bone spurs clear, all he had to do was let it heal. The problem is he might have returned earlier than what he needed to. That's why he had to miss more time. But once it heals, it's good. He was healing from the shoulder, not what initially caused the injury. It's the same thing with Randle. That's what we're waiting for his shoulder to heal up. I think they said he's ahead of schedule. So once it heals up, he's good to go. There's no setbacks, no minutes restriction, no none of that. As long as he doesn't dislocate his shoulder again, he'll be fine. Just to give Coach the... Okay, yeah, Coach, I'm not adding the splits, man. We good. Coach, I understand. Towns is your man, Coach. I love Coach. No, Coach, we don't win. No, Coach, we don't win. We don't win, Coach. All I'm saying is that Randle production, overall, awards, accolades, all of that, to me, is outperforming what Towns has done. We have seen better years of Towns in the past. It's a regression. Julius Randle is ascending into his peak, into his form. He's giving you a 25, 10, and 4, 5 like it's nothing, right? Towns has been resorted to a guy that stands on the elbow or the top of the key and sometimes the corner and waits to get three-point shots. We don't need that. Yeah, Barry, yeah, he dislocated his shoulder. But his shoulder was fine, right? That's why initially they were saying, okay, don't get the surgery. The problem is he had no support to hold the shoulder in place. That's what he had to get the surgery on. I can't get the name of it. Sorry, guys. I'm not a doctor. But I'm very familiar of the part that holds the shoulder together. That's what it was. Salute the Coach. Man, me and Coach, we could go back and forth on this Town stuff. He'll never get mad. He's a loyal subscriber, man. And I know how he feels about Towns. But Coach, you do see that the trade won't happen, right? Are we at least together on that? Now maybe. I'm gonna wrap up this Towns thing because I do want to talk about the Sixers right quick. With the Towns thing too, maybe things will change in the middle of the year because now, if the Knicks are not doing well, or if the Timberwolves are not doing well, maybe then there'll be extra motivation to really try to get a deal done. The deal will still definitely be very difficult, but in order to do that deal, there will have to be some negative consequences, right? They're not going. If both teams are balling, and both teams are on the path to being top 2 in the East and top 2 in the West, why would they do the trade? Unless another way they'll do the trade too is if Randle's saying he's not going to resign. Randle says he doesn't want to resign, which that there's never been any news articles saying that. So I doubt it. Immortal Cuts, that's what I'm talking about, man. Salute to Immortal Cuts, man. Randle was balling. His numbers was crazy. He was averaging like 27, 12, and so I can't remember the exact. I remember on MSG, they had the stat line for January. His numbers were astronomical, bro. It was astronomical. It was crazy. That's why he was an all-star. How you think he became an all-star with just playing 46 games? Because for them 46, I would say if you minus the first 10 to 15 games and you just look at those last 35 games, it was crazy. He was giving everybody the business, including Giannis. Why not make money, coach, when Cat gets here with a bet? I'll give you the whole year. Okay. Y'all want to do a bet? All right. Well, look, if y'all want to do the bet, let me know. I think both of y'all in the Discord, right? We can talk about it in the Discord, especially. By the way, join the Knicks, the Knicks Tape Madness Discord, right? I got a barcode on the screen right below me. You could go to the website, www.theobjectiveknicksfan.com, or you could click the link that's in the chat and in the description. Definitely get up in there. We have good conversations. Recently, it's been kind of slow because, once the free agency passed, but there's still things to talk about because, one, like this topic here. Two, we got the Olympics, right? Because I also got an NBA chat too. So yeah, there's a couple of other things we could talk about, and then we could continue on monitoring this Knicks Summer League. I think the first game is on the 13th. So yeah. Barry says 5 threes a game. Yeah, Randle wasn't taking threes like that. He dropped his threes from, I think it was 8 to, hold on, was it that? It might have even been less than that. Hold on, let me get the Randle window back up, because I know I got it somewhere. Got a lot of windows. I think Randle, he went from 8 to 5 or something, to 3. Hold on. Blow this up. So Randle's threes last year. Yeah, he went from 8 to 5. See? So he was taking less threes, even though his percentage dropped, but he was taking significantly less threes, especially as the year went on. He really put a priority to attacking the basket. But his three-point percentage went up. His field goal percentage went up. All those numbers went up when you look at the last 30 games. Matter of fact, you know what? Before we switch topics and we get to the Sixers things, because I do want to talk about that before we wrap up, I'm going to pull up his game logs just so you can know that we ain't capping over here. So this is his game logs, y'all. All right? So the Miami game is when he got hurt, right? So he had 19 right before he got hurt. Denver game, we won that game by 38 points, right? So he didn't play in the fourth or nothing like that. So yeah, in this game he had 17, 7, and 8, right? Didn't shoot well from the three-point line, but like I said, he didn't get a chance to play fourth quarter. But look at the game before that. He had 30, 9, and 7. On 52% shooting from the field, right? And made all of his threes. Game before that, this was another blowout win. So look at the Knicks' success with Randle. Look at this. They blew out the Raptors by 26 points. So we can't even look at that game because it was a blowout, right? But look, this game here, this was against Washington, right? He had 21 points. He had 8 rebounds, 5 assists. 3-point shot, he shot 37% from threes and about 47% from the field. Not bad, right? But then again, in Houston, he had 31 points. He had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 50% from three-point line, and over 50% from the field. He was hooping. And then Orlando, this was a loss. So he had 1 bad game, right? All right, cool. So let's move to the game before that. We beat Memphis by 12. He had 24 points. He had 11 rebounds. Right, he was shooting. He didn't hit the 3-ball that game, but he was shooting about 42% from the field. Okay, not the best shooting numbers, but it was an emphasis of getting to the basket. Let's look here. The game before that, he had 32 points. Right, he had just 5 rebounds, but he also shot 52% from the field, not well from the 3-point line. So some games he would shoot well from the 3-point line. Some games he wouldn't shoot well he would shoot really well from the 3-point line. Then he won't shoot that well from the 3-point line. Then he have games where he wasn't taking that many threes. Like this game here, where he had 20 points, right? Another 28-point blowout. He had 20 points, right? So he was balling, man. And the Knicks, and the key thing about it was the Knicks was rolling. Randle is due a huge supermax contract. Because of his 2 All-NBA selections. No wonder why they want to move him. Well, we don't know. We don't know right now because I did have the article showing that I mean, this was according to Ian Begley at the time when they made the Bridges trade. This is not an indication they're going to move Randle. So until CP said what he said, Randle was coming into the season. It was going to be everything was normal. Once CP, let that cat out the bag, that's when everyone started going crazy. Like, oh my God, what's going on? So that's why we're talking about it today. So we don't really know if there's a trade for Randle. Let's see. Randle off injured year, started slow, terrible 3-point shot. Yeah, exactly. And then look, some games he would shoot well. Some games he wouldn't shoot well from the 3-point line. But his attempts wasn't that much. I think that he began to realize, like when we lost this Orlando game here, and I don't think somebody didn't play this game. But either way, no, this might have been the one loss that we had with the big three. But the bottom line is, anytime he shot under 5 threes, his 3-point percentage would be higher, right? For the most part. And then when the 3-ball wasn't falling, he would just attack the basket because his 2-point numbers was really good. I think his 2-point percentage was like 55% from 2-point shots. So, his 3-ball wasn't falling. I do think that he was getting better compared to when he started. How many of you guys remember? This is when he started. He had 14, he had 17, he had 10, 19, 6, 16. Then he started hitting his stride a little bit, but then it quelled off a little bit down here. And then from there, that's when he took off. 28, 25, 29, 20, 41. So what do you want me to say, man? The man is a hooper, man. Why was he an all-star all 46 games? Because he was balling, bro. His numbers was crazy. Couple of bad games, but then some of the games were blowouts too. Like, look, he had 8 points, but they blew out Philadelphia by 36 points. So how do you count that? I mean, I don't know. They won. Like, what do you want me to say? I don't know. I feel like the Randle slander is a little. I get it. I'm with you with the playoffs, but I say that the sample size is small. He only played 10 games. He only had 10 playoff games. Like, what do you? He played like what, 10, 11 playoff games. He didn't play that many games. Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, we in research mode. Let's pull it up. All right. Playoffs. No, do I want the 2024 playoffs? Hold on. Yeah, career playoffs. There we go. So look, this is his career playoffs. Yeah, 10 games. 10 games. No, 15. I'm sorry, 15 games. My fault. 15 games. 15 games. He literally could surpass that being healthy and next year, and the Knicks go to Eastern Conference Finals. 15 games. He played, 3 series? And then when you look at, like I always say, the 2023 playoffs, he was hurt. He had ankle surgery. He shouldn't even played in the 2023 playoffs, to be honest. But I digress. I'm not trying to excuse him. You can say anything when you want to win an argument. Oh, man, the chat going in. We can't take CP's word as gospel. He's the same person that said Randle would never be an all-star. He said that. Well, to CP's credit, he once again, he said he likes Randle. He doesn't want to trade Randle. He's just saying what, based off what he heard, or I don't know, special information. I don't know. That's what he said. I'm just telling you what he said. Let's see. Oh, well, KG Celtics love Randle. That's true. KG is talking highly of Randle. That is true. I think Randle is the truth. I mean, I think he's the truth. I think he's the most pure power forward in basketball. I mean, show me another pure power forward. Somebody said in the chat, they said Isaiah Stewart. just because he plays defense and he rebounds, that makes him a pure power forward. The reason why I say Randle is the most pure power forward is because, to me, his play style when he takes less threes, right? But when he does, like we've seen in these game logs, when he decides to take people to the basket, right? And you got to double him and triple him, that reminds me of guys from back in the day. That's how power forwards played back in the day. They back to the basket. Of course, you had the Charles Oakley types, and maybe Isaiah, the Stewart kid is like a Charles Oakley, but I'm talking about more than just what Oakley gave you on the offensive. I'm talking about somebody who can initiate the offense from down low and attack the basket, right? Giannis, even though he attacks the basket, he's starting from 25 feet out. Like, Giannis doesn't attack you. How often do you see Giannis go like this? If Giannis did this more, give me the ball, I'm dealing with midgets back here. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Dealing with smaller guys back here. Sorry about that. If he says that, he'll average 40 a game. But Giannis wants to be a guard. Most of Giannis' action is downhill from the top of the key or fast breaks, bro. That's not how traditional power forwards played. Traditional power forwards played off the elbow, mid-post catch, turn around, face up, back you down, spin off the back down. That's how Randle plays. That's how when I say he's the most pure power forward, I don't mean he's the best. I'm saying, though I do think he's definitely top 5. I'm saying his play style. And then you have a lot of power forwards that are centers now. Like Anthony Davis is a power forward. Sengun, no, not Sengun. Sabonis, right? I think Sabonis is a power forward, but he's a center. So those guys, you can't even count those guys to the list, right? But even still, I think Randle, the way he plays, when Randle decides I'm going downhill, that's when he's at his best. When Randle decides going downhill, I'm going to catch it on the elbow, turn around, face up, back you down, spin, hopefully not into a double team, right? Because, Randle's spinning into the double teams. Yeah, Randle's that dude to me. I'm sorry. We heard enough nonsense from CP over the years. Give quickly the bag. Don't need. Wait, hold on. Did he say that? Nick Shack, did CP say give quickly the bag and we don't need Brunson? Because that's crazy if he said that. CP was never a Randle fan. He wanted him traded so RJ could get more shots and be the focal point of the offense. I love RJ. Some of you guys might know I'm a Duke fan. I know that, that might rub a lot of you guys the wrong way because everybody hates Duke who's not Duke fans. So I had a special, how should I put this? Because I don't want to say fan. I'm not a fan of players. I'm a fan of the Knicks. But I wanted to see RJ do well because he came from Duke. And I tend to root for Duke players. Even Tatum, even though he's a Celtic and I can't stand the Celtics, but he went to Duke. And I remember when he came in, I was telling everybody this guy, Jason Tatum, should be the number 1 pick in the draft. They laughed. They was like, oh, who went before him? I can't remember who went before him. But when you look at it now, Jason Tatum should have been the first pick. And he's a ball player. I always knew that. So I didn't think RJ was that good. I really didn't believe he was that good to warrant you trading Randle. That's why I never was on the Randle trade bandwagon. Because one, I would never be on the bandwagon anyway. I'm a Knicks fan. I only care about what's best for the Knicks. But I never thought RJ was that good. But if he said that, that's crazy though. That's crazy. Nick's Nick of Time is legit CP friend channel. Okay. CP. All right. Well, look, we're not here to sell the CP, man. Salute the CP. We disagree with CP. I don't think that the trade is going down from a standpoint of the Knicks are going to do the trade the way he thinks that they're going to do it. But CP does agree with me that, he likes Randle better. Except for, and then another thing too, Towns is not the better fit in the offense. Oh, wow. I remember when they called Randle a poor man Zions with no hops. First off, that's cap. Randle has hops. If you go on YouTube and you type in Julius Randle highlights, you'd be surprised how many posters pop up. Just in the Knicks, forget the New Orleans and all of that. If you type in his highlights with the Knicks, Randle catch bodies, bro. I couldn't believe the amount of. I'm like, damn, I don't remember seeing Randle do that because Randle doesn't dunk all the time. But Randle be getting bodies, bro. So look, before we wrap up, guys, get up out of here because I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I do want to talk about the Sixers thing right quick. What I'll do, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna wrap this up with the Sixers, right? So I'm gonna go to Google, and I want to pull up their sports track. And first though, the Sixers have pretty much shot their load, guys. They don't have any more money to do anything significant. They can only get veteran minimum contracts to build out their roster, right? So I'm gonna pull up Sixers sports track, right? And I'm gonna tell you why we're gonna outshine them. I'm gonna give you my 5 reasons, and I'm gonna move through them a little quickly. And keep the Randle stuff going. If you want to talk more about Randle, we can. But this is the Sixers depth chart right now. They got 2 centers, right? They got Embiid and they got Drummond, which to me is A1. I like Embiid. I wanted the Knicks to get Embiid, right? Power forward position, they don't have a power forward. As you can see, even hold on, my fault, y'all. I gotta make it so you can see it. My fault. How? So you guys should see it better now. And let me make it smaller so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Right now, I'm looking at the Sixers sports track. So these are the guys that they have on contract. Okay. Now, they have Kenyon Martin Jr., who's small anyway. He's really a small forward, but they play him at power forward. So they don't really have a power forward, right? So they don't have a power forward. Now, more than likely, they're going to put Paul George at the 4, right? Then they're going to put Oubre at the 3, Kelly Oubre Jr. at the 3, right? Because they got a whole bunch of shooting guards and small forwards. And then, or Oubre at the 2, go with Martin, because they just signed the kid Martin from the Heat, which was, I like that pickup. I like Martin. I think Martin is talented. Oubre at the 2, and then at the 1, Maxey, right? Or they can also take Martin out and go with the rookie McCain from Duke. Sorry, it ain't my fault. Duke guys got a lot of good players. Jared McCain is a sharpshooter. He's a hooper. I'm just letting you know right now, he's a hooper. Bona fide hooper, right? Can get a bucket, can shoot the lights out. So they could go either way, but more than likely, let's just keep it Martin and Oubre. Of course, our starting 5, right, which is probably one of the best starting 5s in basketball, you ask me. We got Mitch. We still need a backup center, but Mitch is going to be the 5. We got Randle at the 4. Who's guarding Randle? That's what I want to know. Then you got OG at the 3, right? And then you got Bridges at the 2. Then you got Brunson at the 1. First off, I want to say this. Off rip, Knicks got the way deeper team, better bench. Off rip. Because when you look at their team, they also got Eric Gordon too. I forgot to add him to the mold. Not concerned about Eric Gordon. He is a bona fide bucket. They got too many 2 guards on this team, bro. They got too many 2 guards. They got 2 small forwards. Whole bunch of 2 guards. And they shot their low. Look at their salary. See this right here? They're well over the cap. And they use their player exception. That's gone. So they can only sign veteran minimums, right, in order to complete their team. Okay? They need 2 power forwards. They ain't even got 1. They need at least 2 power forwards and maybe another point guard, because I don't think none of these guys Yeah, they need a point guard. They got McCain out of the point guard spot. McCain is really a 2. He's not really a point guard. So when you look at the Knicks depth chart, of course, we got Hart. To switch it to the Knicks, we got Hart, Dante off the bench, right? Dante with Deuce, right? And then you got, right now, Sims. We need a backup 5. So hopefully maybe we'll get Precious back, add Precious to the fold. Off rip, when you look at our depth chart to theirs, I'm taking the Knicks. And if you want to see the Knicks too, I'll put the Knicks up there so you can look at the Knicks too. I'm taking the Knicks. I think when you look at the roster right now, of course, it's not done, but I'm letting you know they're not going to be able to make a big splash in free agency. All they can do is sign veteran minimums. That's it. That's it. Kyle Lowry's out there. You know, some of the same guys we were looking at. That's all they could do to fill out their team. They shot their load. They don't have any more money to do nothing. Right? They can't do trades, nothing. They're locked into what they got. They got to build their team, you know, with whatever the draft picks they got. I know Jerry McCain. I can't remember who else they got from the draft, but I know they got McCain. That kid is a problem. He's a hooper. But this is the Knicks roster, right? So just to have it there so you can see it. I'm going to go back to the Sixers, right? So, I mean, they got a whole bunch of 2 guards. So we'll put McCain, Gordon off the bench, right? Who else they got? That's really it. I mean, I don't know about Ricky Council, Justin Edwards. Don't know about those guys. Don't really care to know about it. Let me see what cap holes they got. They cleared all their cap holes. They might bring this Kenya Martin Jr. kid back. Either way, right now, especially right now, but I think even when it's all said and done, I think that the Knicks team is better. What do you guys think? Let's see. Randle did a good job. Talking about Randle. Fans wanted Paul Reed here. Yeah, he went to the Pistons, right? So Paul Reed is out of there. Yeah, Maxey, George, Oubre, Martin. Right, yep, Embiid. Yep, that's the lineup. Yep, that's the lineup. Still probably going out for marketing. Now marketing. Now to go back to Randle for a second. Marketing is you'll have an easier time getting marketing for Randle than Towns for Randle. I don't want to do marketing either. I'm just saying marketing will be a lot easier to trade for than Randle. But let me go back. Let's see what you guys talking about. Solid 8. Salute the Lou Big Boogie. Yep. To me, the Knicks depth chart, just off depth chart, right now, and knowing that they're limited in the moves they can make. They can't make no trades. All these guys they got are new guys besides Embiid, Maxey, and they re-signed Oubre. Oubre they could trade if they wanted to. They could sign and trade. They're not going to do it. I'm just saying, none of these other guys. Oh, and McCain. I think they might could move McCain too, because he is their draft pick. So they might could move McCain if they wanted to. But right now, they can't trade nobody. They only can sign whoever's there. Right. So now that we have the depth chart down, we get to my second point. All right, so I did a poll, and I might pull the poll up. I did a poll on the channel, and basically asking who's the better addition. And of course, Knicks fans, we showed out. It was like 90-some% that said that Bridges is the better addition to Paul George. Now, some people might say, people who are not Knicks fans or just objective, like people looking at it from an outside lens, why do you say that when Paul George is coming off of 2 All-Stars, right? And he was durable at least last season. He played over a certain amount of games. Hold on, let me pull up Paul George. I'm gonna pull up his sports track. His basketball reference right quick. So I'm gonna get rid of the Towns window. We don't need him no more. I'm gonna pull up Paul George just so we can look at what his production is. Then I'll probably pull up Mikal Bridges too, so we can look at his production too. All right. So yeah, George played 74 games, right? Just wanted to make sure I was on the money with that. With the exception of last year, he has not been durable, right? And he also did get hurt in the playoffs. Didn't do nothing in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges didn't get an opportunity to play in the playoffs because he was with the Nets. And, well, no, he actually did. No, I'll take that back. He did play in the playoffs with the Nets because the Nets was a 6th seed or something like that. So I'm gonna bring up Mikal Bridges so we can look at his numbers too, and I'm gonna break down why I say Mikal Bridges to me is the better addition, right? So we can look at numbers. The one number I want to look at is this right here, which I have highlighted. When you look at Mikal Bridges, 82 games, right? To me, that's important. He's playing every game he's available. Now, once again, when you see these 73 games and all of that, remember, he was a young player, wasn't getting minutes like that at some points, right? So, but he's been the picture of durability. He's pretty much played, and I can't remember the exact amount, 400 and some games in a row, right? Kid's fantastic. He's there, right? So he's an 82 game bandit. So that's one. He's durable, right? He's going to be there. So, one, you got to be there to perform. The question is, will Paul George be there? And then I also wanted to look at what Bridges did in the playoffs. So, this is what Bridges did in the playoffs. Check this out. This is why I love looking at numbers. The raw numbers. 23, he averaged 23 in the playoffs, right? And his shooting wasn't the greatest. Do mind you, they did play, I think it was the Sixers they played in the playoffs. So, but he still put up solid numbers, especially when you with the Nets, they keying in on you. He showed up. Let's pull up Paul George stats. Let's see what Paul George is doing in the playoffs, all right? So Paul George, when we go to the playoffs, his last playoff, which was last year, he had 19 points. He did have a good playoffs, but this was in 2021. It goes back to what have you done for me lately? Now, Paul George, career-wise, this is his career legacy. Of course, Paul George, career-wise, is better than Bridges. I'm talking about right now. Another thing to this addition thing, when we talk about key additions, which addition is going to be better? I think the Sixers won 47 games last year, 47, 48 games last year. Knicks, of course, we won 50 games. I think that the Knicks have the capability. Some of you guys have won me over. I think that we could get near 60 wins this year. I really do believe it because I think that OG and Mitch are the only two guys that might miss time. So that's why whoever they get as the backup center is going to be important. But what Bridges adds to the Knicks, I think it carries the Knicks over the top. I think what Paul George brings to the Sixers, they're going to be competing for that 3-4 spot. In my opinion, this is my opinion. I don't got the Sixers above us. I think that Bridges is the better fit into the system because guess what? Bridges, no one's going to look at Bridges' points. As long as the team is winning, that's going to be the key. Paul George, on the other hand, has to sustain, right? Oh, another thing too with Bridges. Bridges could score 16 a game. His numbers could drop, but make All-NBA defense, and no one's going to care about it. Paul George, on the other hand, if Paul George numbers drop, if this 22 goes to 17, and either if the Sixers don't play at a high level, or his performance is just not that good, yeah, they're gonna give him the rap, especially in Philadelphia, because that's little bro. So they kind of got the same vibe as us in terms of like they got passionate fans. If you're not bowling out of control, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So I think the pressure is more on George to perform, and I think that adding Bridges to what we already have, that's another key thing. We already have a 50-win team. The Sixers also, you can argue Embiid wasn't there, whatever. To argue that, that's fine. Let's say, okay, the Sixers is also a 50-win team. But they lost the core roots of who they were. So you don't even know what type of Sixers team you're going to get. So last year's success, you can't even really put on this year's team because it's a new team. And we also know that it's not going to be deeper than last year's team. Right? They may can get Lowry back. I'm not sure if Lowry signed somewhere. He could have. I don't know. Not looking at the news right now. But the bottom line is their roster, their depth is not going to be like how it was last year. So it's a different Sixer team. As opposed to the Knicks, the only player who we lost is Isaiah Hartenstein. Maybe Precious might go. We don't know about Precious. Burks and Bojan, I'm not counting them because they came via trade mid-season, and we already knew Bojan was trade bait. So I'm not even going to count the 20 games they played. Not even a factor, right? The core Knicks guys are there. Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, right? The Sixers only have 3 guys, right? The Sixers only have 3 guys that was there, which would be Maxey, Embiid, Oubre, and maybe Martin Jr. if you want to add him, though he came via trade, whatever. Bottom line, the Sixers have a completely new team. Knicks have a foundation, Sixers, new team. So that's another reason why I'm saying the Bridges addition is a real addition. Paul George it's a new team. Like it's a brand new, it's not the same Sixers team. So we don't really know what the Sixers are going to be next year, right? We can speculate. It looks great on paper, but they got to play versus the Knicks have a lot of guys that were there. So, all right, let me see. You call Mikel, OG, and Dante. To be honest, PG is the better player out of the 3. But he's the oldest. Wait, you said PG is the better player out of Embiid, Maxey? PG is the best player? Career? If you're talking about career, I'm not talking about career. So let me specify. When I say Bridges is better than George, I'm just talking about production over the last couple of years. Both PG and Bridges numbers are going to drop. Can we at least agree with that? Both their numbers are going to drop. It's going to drop because they're going to be possibly be third options. Bridges might be fourth option. Who knows? So I'm not really basing it off of career. PG is the better player to Bridges when you talk about his career. I'm talking about where they are now. Right? I'm talking about last payoff production. Bridges had 23, was the key focal point. Of course, the Nets got swept, and the Nets are terrible. But Bridges, to me, his 23 was more impressive than Paul George's 20, and he has Harden and, whoever was on the team. It wasn't Harden at the time. It was Kawhi got hurt mid. Kawhi always gets hurt. But they had Man and all those guys, all those Clippers guys. They had a good team. The Clippers had a good team. Way better team than the Nets. I digress. The point that I'm saying is, to me, Bridges had a better postseason last postseason. Right now, to me, Bridges is the better player, right? Though numbers are not going to show it. What's going to happen is Bridges can actually become All-NBA defense again with the Knicks. Hey, he and OG can actually win that honor, right? Paul George, more than likely, won't be an all-star. So if Paul George numbers drop, Bridges numbers drop, but Bridges becomes All-NBA defense, Knicks have great success, Sixers hover around the same spot, who really is the better addition? That's my argument. You could agree, you could disagree. I'm just telling you what my argument is with that. I just don't want to confuse people. I'm not saying that Bridges' career is better than Paul George. We talked about the health factor. I'm going to talk more about the health factor. PG is somebody who we know is injury prone. Embiid, who was the MVP 2 seasons ago, he's someone who also has a history of getting injuries, right? Health is a factor. People look at Julius Randle's shoulder and they want to make that a barometer of Julius Randle's health. Anybody can break a leg or arm at any point. That's not something that is a durability issue, right? Because those are like fluke injuries. Bam, you put your hand here, it snaps. That, like, even look, Jalen Brunson with the fracture, that's a fluke. Like, that's not wear and tear. You got bad knees. Like Kemba Walker eventually had bad knees, right? Look at Lonzo Ball, right? Look at the guys with the certain injuries in certain areas, repeat offenders, right? So what I'm saying to you is that, and I'm not putting it on Paul George. I don't want to see Paul George hurt again. I know he broke his leg, and that was a big deal. But what I'm saying is, for various reasons, these guys get hurt. I could pull up the injuries. Don't really want to make this an extra long stream, but the injuries to Embiid, George, especially happening at the wrong time, is bad. It's bad. Like I said, Paul George didn't really have a really great playoffs. You got to go back 3 years. Is he going to be able to? I mean, not 3 years, more than 3 years. Got to go back a while. Is he going to bring that out again? Possibly. I doubt it. I just think that health is a factor, and it happens to the Sixers a lot. Whether it's Embiid, right? Well, they even got the same team, so I can't even bring up health in terms of the entire team. But we know that at least with Embiid and Paul George, they definitely have health issues. Another thing too, I kind of hinted towards this. This would technically be the fourth reason. I wasn't calling out the reasons, but I did give 4 reasons before. I talked about the depth chart. I talked about the additions. Now I've talked about health. Now I'm talking about longevity. They basically have three core guys that's been there, right? I can't even say that because Ubi actually just been there for 2 years, right? This will be his second year. So Maxey and Embiid are the only foundation that team has. All the other guys are new, and I talked about the Knicks. We have more longevity. We got guys that's been with the Knicks for a while now, 3-4 years now, 2 years now. They have an identity. They know their role on the team. So now when you talk about George, Martin, right? But Ubi kind of knows his role. Ubi didn't really have a role either, but Ubi has a role. He has to figure out his role. George has to figure out his role. Is Gordon a 6-man? What about the new kid? It's a lot to me that the Sixers have to worry about in terms of establishing roles. With the Knicks, you already know Bridges coming in. He's going to be the defensive stopper on the perimeter with OG. Brunson is the all-star ball maker in his hands. But Randle is your second option who can create and does what he does. Mitch, he lingers in the dunk spot, setting pick and rolls, looking for dunks. They already know what they're going to do, right? So that's what I mean by longevity. Another reason why, especially the Knicks will outshine the Sixers. Hold on, before I say the last thing, let me see what some of you guys are saying, because you guys are having great conversations in the chat. Don't want to forget about my chat people. Hold on. So, Barry, you said Base Joke is your homeboy. Do you know him? Or are you saying that's your man's because you like him? Let's see. Brunson don't want Randle. Why the Knicks? Wait, hold on. Brunson don't want Randle. Why Knicks today? Or just talking your talk? No, CP. CP brought that up. Knicks Yat. Nah, it's not. It has nothing to do with Randle. But and another thing too, just to clarify that Randle Brunson thing. Remember, Randle did not have to go on the Roommates podcast. Randle was like the third, because they had Dante was the first person, Knick teammate to go on the show. Then I think they had Bright Skin himself, Isaiah Hartenstein, Mr. I Bail Out. And then they had Randle was the third teammate on that show. So if Randle has issues with Brunson, why go on the podcast? I just don't see like someone who you don't like. I don't see you keeping them around. I just can't see that. That to me doesn't make no sense. Oh wow. 1/5 of your chat should try baseball. Okay, so Knicks, you talking to somebody in the chat. All right, y'all having a conversation amongst yourselves. Let me see. I might have to start getting some super chats so I can read some of these comments. Because you guys are having conversations amongst yourselves. Let me see. Major reason why we have an advantage over them is our bench. Coach, yeah, coach, you're on the money. Who's the coach? You're on the money. That's why I started with the depth chart first. I said when you look at the depth chart, they only could get veteran minimums now. So the veteran minimums that are available, to me, none of them are scary. A lot of the guys already got picked up already. So I like Drummond. They do got Drummond, but Martin and Gordon and I just it's not bad, but I'm just saying when you compare it to what the Knicks have, and we know the Knicks are going to get a center. Depending on who that center is, I mean, honestly, if it's a serviceable center, whether it's Precious or whoever, it's an easy plug-in, right? It's an easy plug-in. Versus the Sixers, they're gonna have to figure out. Besides, we already know George, Embiid, and Maxey are the starters. Who are going to be the other starters? Will it be Martin, right? Will it be Gordon? Will it be Oubre? I think Oubre is probably a favorite to start too, but we don't really know what Philly's going to do. We don't know what they're going to do. But when you look at the rough depth chart right now, and like I said, knowing they can't make another splash, I ain't concerned about it. Let's see. One PG or MP most likely be injured. Yep, that's a fact. And it's not that we're wishing injuries on them. We're just going by based on what the history has been. Joel Embiid, you know what? The one thing I don't like about Joel Embiid, he always flops around and winds up on the floor. I'm like, yo, you're a 7-footer, bro. Like, you should not be flopping around like that, bro. He flops around, he dives, he trips. He's just too much on the floor. Versus, watch how Jokic plays. Jokic rarely goes on the floor. Very rare. Jokic, he stays on his feet, and his demeanor on the court is more of a big guy, someone that you can't move. Embiid sometimes, because a part of it is flopping, part of it is, trying to sell calls. I think he does too much. And when you do too much falling on the floor at 7'1", it's a recipe for disaster, bro. So not that I'm wishing it on him, it's just that he always takes these ridiculous falls that to me could be costly. Because just like that, you tear something, right? He's a big guy. What is he, 7'1", 270? He's a very big guy, bro. So, and then Paul George to me, he's older. And I think that, his production, to me, I mean, he's still a serviceable all-star caliber player. I don't think he's going to be an all-star in Philly. I remember Brunson and Hart getting hurt. Maybe y'all. Oh wow, we got Philly people in the building. First off, hold up. Dog grab. Hold up. So we got Philly people in the building chatting. Now I know I have subscriber only mode on. So if I got a Philly fan to subscribe to a Knicks channel, man, yo, salute to me, man. Let's see what this guy's talking about. He says they fragile too. First off, that's cap. Brunson plays over 60 games, 65 games, I think every year of his career. I don't remember Brunson missing any time, especially when he was a Knick. Brunson's benchmark is like 66, 67 games. So if you call that injury prone, whatever. Josh Hart, same thing, bro. Josh Hart plays all games. He misses a handful of games. How are they fragile? You're taking fluke injuries, which was Josh Hart. I think it was the rebound. He stretched. He's trained his abdominal. Come on, bro. That doesn't happen every day, bro. You fracture your hand. That doesn't happen every day, right? You can tweak an ankle. You can, you could take a shot to the face, right? Because those things happen quite frequently. You can, there's certain things that happen within the flow of the game that can happen. It could keep you out for a game or two. But the Knicks are pretty durable. I mean, Randle, if it wasn't for his fluke injury, right, where Hami Jaquez with the dirty play, which nobody really talks about, taking the man out while he's in the air, come on, bro, you can't do that. And then Randle, he fell, on his shoulder. It's a fluke injury. Versus guys who get hurt every year. Don't make me pull up the injury history. I could easily do it. I'm just not trying to go on for too long. But the fact that we got a Philly fan to subscribe to the channel is lit. That's cool. I'm rocking with that. Let's see. In terms of iHeart, I'm with you, Moto Cuz. Yeah, we not mad at iHeart. Like I said, there's no loyalty in basketball, bro. There's no loyalty in basketball. You go get yourself a bag. That's why the Knicks with Brunson, and I started with Brunson, guys. I started with Brunson and what his potential sacrifice could mean. He could really be looking out for his man Bridges, right? And the Knicks by keeping us under the apron. But same way, we're going to love Brunson even if he decides not to take that bag. I mean, you know, the smaller bag. If he decides to get the bigger bag, we're going to still love Brunson. Ain't going to be nobody going to hate him because he still be a Knick, right? So that's just the key. But in terms of a man making a decision to set his family, because think about it. Let's face it. When that contract is over, or even when it gets to the third year and it's a team option, by the way, the contract is really a 2-year 60. It's not, people say 3-year 87. It's really a 2-year 60. Why? Because the last year is not guaranteed. And it's a front-loaded contract. It's a Brock Aller-style contract. So, but at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that you can't tell a man who can make $60 million in 2 years, an average salary of $29 million a year, for him to not take that. So, yeah, we don't hate iHeart. You know, go get your money, man. Go get your money. We ain't mad at him. Spash coming by day trade deadline. Let me see. Oh, we got the Philly fan going in. He says Kmart with the Clippers for Finley Smith. Nope. I doubt it. Don't get your hopes up. But even if you do the trade, I mean, Finney Smith, that's going to be a power forward. Are we supposed to be scared of that? I don't think we're scared of that. Is Finney Smith going to start? Is he going to start on the Clippers at the 4? How that mean? Let me know that. Let me see. Jokic, 340 pounds. Curry says, who could put him on the floor? Hey, look. The man doesn't go on the floor, bro. We know he doesn't jump, so he doesn't jump. And B doesn't jump either. So they both don't jump, right? The difference is Embiid is on the floor all the time, bro. Next time you watch, matter of fact, World Cup, Olympics, Joel Embiid, I guarantee you, if you watch the Olympics, Embiid is probably going to play 20 minutes a game. He's going to fall on the floor at least 1.5 times on average. Just watch. Just watch the next well, maybe not an exhibition because they're not really going that hard. But when the Olympics start, I guarantee you, watch the Olympics, he will be falling on the floor. Guarantee you. If you remember last year, the only person that Brunson celebrated with on the court was Randle. Yeah, quiet money. Yo, all right. Unless there's some secret stuff we don't know about, which is always possible, but we don't do conspiracies on this channel, unless my man Sam's here. Salute to Sam, by the way. Right? But sometimes we have fun with it, but we don't really try to make things that is like iffy. We don't make those things into actual situations. Because let's keep it real. He was the third guest on the Roommates podcast. If there's really an issue from either party, he wouldn't be on the show. I'm just saying. Oh yeah, Immortal Cuts, man. I'm glad you like my hat. I got it off Liz. I'm working on becoming an affiliate with Liz. I'm waiting for them to get back to me. But once I'm an affiliate with Liz, I'll be spamming all the links and stuff like that where I get my hats. But yeah, it's definitely a Liz hat if you want to know. I will be. I'm waiting for something with the email I got to do with the Liz. But yeah, I'm going to be in the Liz affiliate going forward. Let's see. Sharon Brunson is one of the biggest floppers in the NBA also. The issue, no. But Sharon, okay, so the issue is not flopping. The issue is he's 7'1" on the floor, bro. You're too big to be falling on the floor. And that's how you hurt something. That's all I'm saying. He's too much it's too much on the floor. Nothing wrong with flopping, but it's just too much rolling on the floor at 7'1", 270. That's a recipe for an injury. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with flopping. I mean, you might get fined, but that's about it. If you got the bag for it, you ain't tripping. Yeah, we got the Philly fans in the chat going in. You know what's crazy though, Quiet Money? They subscribe to the channel because you guys be a subscriber to comment. I told y'all I'm taxing y'all the next video. The last video I did. Coach says the unique thing about the Knicks and CAA, they're looking out for the player if they stay or go. That's a fact. First off, CAA, you know, that's the mafia, right? That's what we and you know, we of course we're joking, but CAA definitely looks after their guys. They ain't taking no shorts, bro. Trust me. They ain't taking no shorts. They are not taking no shorts. So that's why, Coach, I don't think Brunson's going to resign tomorrow. I think CAA and Leon Rose possibly, but of course Leon Rose works for the Knicks, so But I don't think Leon's going to be mad if Brunson says, I'll still give you a discount, but we just going to do it next year. Like, I can't leave that $100 million on the table. Maybe I might leave $50 million, $40 million. I can't leave $100 million on the table, bro. I wouldn't even ask the man to do it. Nor am I holding Brunson, like any standard, or will I feel as though he's less than because he doesn't do it? Because come on, bro, that's a sacrifice, man. Let's see. The flop didn't work in the World Cup. He tried and it failed. Oh, okay. He tried it last night. I don't remember. I did watch the game last night. I wasn't looking out for the flop. So he probably did flop. And I kind of was half watching it. I was multitasking. Tatum too. Okay, yeah, Tatum too. But Tatum ain't 270 though. I tell you this, Bronny James is in trouble. Oh my God. Hey, by the way, if you want to have these conversations with me offline, join the Discord server. I got the barcode on the screen. I got the website there. Now, a couple of people did fill out the form, but they didn't actually activate or accept the invite link. If you fill out the form and you're having trouble getting to Discord, send me an email, info@theobjectiveknicksfan.com. I'll get you in the building. I got like 7 people who had that issue overall where they fill out the form, but for whatever reason, they don't go into Discord. Kind of weird, but definitely I'll get you the link if you need it. But yeah, I got an Olympics chat, so all summer long, we could talk Knicks still, even in the off season. But I got the Olympics chat. I got 24/7 NBA chat, so we could talk about things outside of the Knicks. Of course, on the channel we talk about Knicks stuff, but in the Discord we could talk about a little bit more. But in terms of Bronny James is in trouble, first off, let me just say this, AP. Real briefly about Bronny. When it comes to Summer League, a lot of really good players don't have good Summer Leagues. I'm not saying Bronny's a really good player. I don't think Bronny is going to be an all-star level player. But that doesn't mean he's going to be bad either. I just don't see all-star in the future based on what I see. I think he could be a solid role player. All-star, I doubt. So don't write home too much about the Summer League because I saw half of one game he was playing. It didn't look good. But that doesn't mean that his career necessarily is going to be written off. Brunson said it even on the Roommates podcast. I didn't have a good Summer League. So sometimes guys don't have good Summer Leagues, especially second round picks, because I feel like it's catered to first round picks and young players that are in the franchise that, like for example, what team was that? Sacramento. Last night, they had Ellis. Ellis was starting for Sacramento. He's playing in Summer League. So when you're a second round pick, even if you're Bronny James, and yes, he is starting and he's getting the light, I don't look at it as a second round opportunity. It's really the opportunity for the guys on the team and for the first rounders. But I don't think Bronny's going to be an all-star. He could possibly be a one contract guy. That's also a possibility. Don't want to hate on the young man, but I'm just, it didn't look good. I'm with you, AP. And he will be wherever Bron is automatically, coach. Yeah, but coach, what happens when Bron retires? If Bron's going to be a coach, once Bron retires, that whole father thing is over. Because especially, and I want to see this more for the NBA, they got to really hold these GMs accountable, guys. Like, yo, bro, come on, bro. These guys get to stay in jobs for 7 years and produce terrible teams and really look like they don't know what the hell they're doing. Coaches get 1 year. We've seen coaches that won championships. 1 year after they win the championship, they're fired. So once LeBron is gone, unless he buys a team, Bronny's not going to be on it. OG is our fragile guy. So Knicks, yeah. So I said that. I covered that. So salute to you. Knicks won today. Is that Knicks won today? Okay, so I'm gonna say this. OG and Mitch are our injury burdens. But depending on who your backup center is, Precious, I'm not even sure who's available at this point. I know Paul Reed is gone. I don't even remember who's available. I don't feel like looking it up. Oh, but there's the trade. We might do a Nick Richards, Walker Kessler. I like Walker Kessler. If you get Walker Kessler, if the Knicks can somehow get, first off, and Leon Rose we trust. For one. Salute to Leon Rose. If he can get Walker Kessler, yeah, I mean, this is one of the best GM jobs we've ever seen. Because Danny Ainge, we know he's the guy for Utah. He's not rocking with us. If you can convince the Nets and Utah, Danny Ainge, to trade with you, bro, yeah, that's next level. So it depends on who they get as the backup center, right? Now, in terms of OG, that's why we bought Bridges. I don't want to see OG go down. But if OG goes down, Hart, boop, plug Hart. No, matter of fact, it'll be plug Dante, because technically Dante started last year. So if OG goes down, plug Hart. Plug Dante. So it'll be Brunson, Dante, Bridges. So you don't lose productivity. I mean, you might lose some edge on the defense, but offensively, for sure, you don't lose anything. So I don't want OG to go down, but Bridges is he's kind of the OG insurance policy. And I'm glad you went there, because I think my final point, did I go on my final? Okay, so this is the last point with the Philly stuff, and then we're going to wrap. It's going to be, watch, and remember I said this. They're waiting to see. First, let the off season, the dust from the off season settle. Once you get past summer league, right, and you get into training camp, and you get into preseason, right, and they do those preseason projections. The Knicks might start off in the top 3, 4, right? They normally do. Knicks is always in the top 3, 4, 5, right? All right. Once that first month of the season happens, if the Knicks are number 1 in the East, the old media narrative will be forced, I think, because a lot of them ain't going to want to do it, trust me. But they'll be forced to put the Knicks in a positive light. And now New York basketball is back. So New York basketball being good is also a powerful narrative that they can sell the public on, because the Knicks always bring clicks, always brings views. We got the most fans. Salute the Knick Nation. So even if Philadelphia and the Knicks are tied for 1 and 2 in the East, the Knicks is going to get the light. The city just shines brighter than Philly. I'm sorry. Don't mean to offend the Philly fans in the building. Salute to Philadelphia. It's a beautiful city. City of brotherly love. And to keep that narrative or that phrase, brotherly love, when you talk about New York and Philly, they may be brothers, but we know who is little bro. We know who is little bro. And that is the Sixers. So unless the Sixers are undefeated in November and December, right? And the Knicks are behind them, like I'm talking about the Knicks is 5 games behind the Sixers. Shoot, even if the Knicks is 5 games behind the Sixers, the Knicks still gonna get the light. So the light just shines brighter on the city. So that's why I'm saying that the Knicks will outshine Philly. Because even if they do the same thing, the old media narrative will shift to push New York basketball as the crown jewel of the league. Even if both teams are right behind Boston, it's still going to look really good. Because even if the narrative is, oh yeah, Philadelphia and New York, 2 and 3 in the East, behind Boston, New York is going to get, first off, all those NBA TV games and, when they start shifting out games, they're going to try to give as many games they can to the Knicks. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks, Boston, New York, maybe LA because of Bronny James, Dallas definitely going to get more games. Dallas is definitely going to get more games. I'm talking about national TV games. Minnesota and OKC will get national TV games. Those 8 teams will be on TV a lot. I think the Knicks probably might get the most because that's what old media wants to do. They want to cap. That's why even when the Knicks had bad teams, they were getting all those games. You don't remember when the Knicks, once they got really bad, then they took the Knicks off TV. But they kept the Knicks on Christmas for a long time. And then they said, oh yeah, we're going to take the Knicks off because they're not good. But it's New York, baby. We always going to shine brighter than the ops. We always going to shine brighter than the ops. So I'm just saying, even if the Sixers and the Knicks are neck to neck, it's going to look better because old media is going to be forced to change the narrative. And trust me, they don't want to change the narrative. But now the Knicks are looked at as the contender. They're going to have to. Because really right now in the East, there's a lot of good teams. But it's the talk right now is, even when I looked at the top 5 teams, right, that the experts project, Vegas or whoever, when they say that the odds. So when you look at the odds, the top 5 teams was Boston number 1. I think it was Minnesota and Dallas. Or was it Minnesota and Denver? Can't remember the 2 West teams. So it was the 2 West teams, right? I know Minnesota was one of them. Boston was number 1. And then the Knicks in Philadelphia. It was Minnesota was 2. Denver was 5. Sixers at 3 and Knicks at 4. So that's already the narrative. So they got the Knicks as a top 5 team in the league. That's already coming. I'm letting you know. But I'm talking about now Philly because they got Philly a little bit ahead of us. What I'm saying is when we get into that first month of the season, and if both teams are neck and neck or the Knicks just go on a crazy run, all that Philly light is gone. So that's my last point. Let's see. I only watch podcasters at this point. I'm too old to watch the circuit. Yo, Coach, that's a fact. Coach, I'm going to tell you something, Coach. I read my news. So I don't really watch a lot of ESPN and stuff like that. I read what they write. Because what I don't want to happen, I don't want to be wrapped up in the false narratives. It's just too many narratives that are just false and crazy, especially in regards to the Knicks, right? Remember, it was Jalen Brunson is too small. What they say, what was the key word? He's a bit undersized. And I swear to God, if I hear Doris Burke say that one more time, I'm going to flip my lip. He's a bit undersized. And poof, that's getting ready to disappear. Poof. Especially if the Knicks win the championship. Poof, that undersized is gone. All right, so yeah, I'm with you, Coach. I listen to a lot of internet stuff. I don't really go to listen to the TV as much. I read my news. Knicks fans in North Korea. Yeah, Knicks fans in North Korea. Yo, bro. It's between the Knicks and Lakers, but I think the Knicks have more fans than the Lakers. I put it like this. When's the last time you seen LA in the playoffs take over an opposing stadium's team outside of California? California, yeah, anywhere in California, Laker fans dominate. But I'm talking about they're going to Utah. The Knicks go anywhere. The only place the Knicks have trouble is two places the Knicks have trouble taking over fans: Boston and Indiana. Every other Eastern Conference team, the Knicks taking over their arena. It's just that the Boston people are crazy, and Indiana is a basketball state. So those are the two places that the Knicks, you can hear us out there, but all the other East Coast teams is gone. The Lakers, to me, unless the Lakers are like Kobe and Shaq, they don't have that same appeal. Even when the Knicks is terrible, as long as they play hard, you're going to hear the Knicks fans go crazy. Let's see. Anytime the Knicks are out of the playoffs, I don't even watch no more. You know, AP, before I was doing YouTube, I was the same way. But now that I do YouTube, I gotta listen to it. A lot of the Knicks hate comes from the media having their own strong media presence. You know what? That's a fact, Cole. You know what? It's crazy, right? And that you talk about New York old media, right? New York old media has been painting the Knicks in a favorable light. For the most part, I would say last season, even in 23, there was a lot of positive Knick news. Because I remember when the Knicks went on that 8-game winning streak, they was like, oh, the hottest team in the league. So New York media has been kind of shifted their narrative. So I think old media will follow what New York media has done. And I do think there is like New York media to me is kind of in its own bubble, right? It's like people don't understand, like Lakers fans especially. Like I remember they were saying how Cam Reddish and some of the other Lakers guys, you know, that Laker pressure, they can't perform and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yo, New York got the same pressure, bro. Like the New York pressure, just from New York, bro, if New York media doesn't like you, forget about it, bro. You're done. You're not going to get no favorable light. So, yeah, New York media to me, yeah, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point about the media presence, right? That's why I don't do live play-by-plays when MSG is covering the Knicks, because I want to watch the MSG games. But when it's on NBC, I'd rather watch the games with you. Let me see. New York City, 8.5 million people. Facts. And probably more than that, too, with, migrants and people like that coming to the city. Curtis Blow said 8 million stories, a big fact. Philadelphia is probably the size of the Bronx. Yo, what happened to the Philly fan? I know none of y'all blocked them or nothing like that. I just want to know where the Philly fan that subscribed to the Objective Knicks fan. Because you have to be a subscriber to join the chat. So I like seeing the ops have to infiltrate and subscribe. That's just beautiful to me. The Lakers are the number one fan is Adam Silver. You know what? That's true, AP. I do feel like the Lakers are able to do some crazy stuff at times. But they didn't do nothing this year. Most of Philly is in jails, overcrowded. So Lou, is that why we took over the Wells Fargo? We took the Wells Fargo. Is that why? Because they fans are incarcerated. That's funny. It says Knicks will be by the way, salute the Knicks will be chance in 25-26. He says went to a Lakers game out LA last year and took it over. Lakers fans don't hold they stay. Ooh, yo, you know what's crazy though too? And this is why I laugh at the whole like Gilbert Arenas when he talk about Laker fans. Y'all don't really care about the Lakers like that, bro. Like he said, AP said it best. A lot of tourists are there. Only time Lakers fans care is when they playing well. That's when Laker Nation will come out. But yo, when the Lakers are not good, bro, they become casual, bro. Knicks fans, we care about our team. Yeah, we got a lot of casual New York fans too, but at the same time, we're not tolerating the BS. We're going to boo you. We're going to boo. Like, if the Knicks ain't playing well, we're going to boo. Of course, we haven't booed the Knicks in a while because mostly they playing good, so there's no reason to boo. But LA, it's a whole different market. That's a good point, AP. AP, Immortal Cuss is a Knicks fan. Yeah, he's a Knicks fan. He rocking with New York. Yeah, the Philly dude had a Philly name. It was Philly Dog or something. I don't see him no more. I think he ran because I said, oh, yeah, I got a Philly fan subscribe to a Knicks channel. That's what's up. Let's see. Lakers sucked in the 90s. I remember. Facts. And where were the Laker fans in the 90s? Honestly, bro, in the 90s, I was a lot younger, but I don't remember Laker fans in the 90s. Like, to me, like, that was just like, we had Heat fans, you had Bulls fans for sure, right? You had, I even had Utah fans, Seattle fans, all the teams that were popping in the 90s, right? All the teams, you found them in New York. Rockets fans, right? So, but you didn't see Lakers fans in the 90s in New York. They became Knicks fans, or they became fans of other teams. So yeah, that's the great point. He said, I get on the Philly channel whenever so I could go piss them off. Salute to AP, man. Yo, do you know that Knicks fans are everywhere? But see, here's the thing, AP. Philly got that pride, right? They got that pride. So that's why, of course, Knicks fans, we everywhere. But Philly, right, they're very prideful about their town and their city. So that's why I could make fun and say, hey, I got a Philly fan subscribe to the channel. That's a win. That made my day. So yeah. Yeah, AP, the Lakers suck, right? You did not mean no. Now in the 80s, that's a little before my time in terms of being, of course I was around in the 80s. I was very little. But, Lakers, I don't know, pretty sure there was Laker fans everywhere. But in the 90s, no one was talking that Lakers stuff. Once Magic was out of there, that ship sailed. Right. Once Shaq got there, but even still, nobody was jacking the Lakers. Late 90s, nobody was jacking the Lakers. It wasn't until they won that first championship in 2000. Once they got that first chip, then the Laker fans came out. Then they was going crazy with the Lakers. But you didn't especially in the heart of the 90s, there was none of that Lakers stuff was there. Lakers didn't come until they won the championship. Once the 2000s hit, that's when everybody became Laker fans. Kobe, Shaq, that's when they came out. I'm talking about in New York. LA, I don't know about LA. In New York, that's when you started seeing the Laker fans heavy. It wasn't until they won. When they got swept by the Jazz, right? When they was getting their butts kicked every round by the Spurs and them, nobody cared about them. You remember those Vlade Divac Laker teams? Yeah, they were terrible. You talking about post Magic Johnson, right? Yeah, we talking about Vlade when Vlade was the guy. Yeah, that's what we talking about. When Vlade was the dude. I remember NBA Jam. It was Vlade Divac and maybe Cedric Ceballos. I think that was their team in NBA Jam. Some of the old school gamers, you probably remember. I know Vlade Divac was one of the guys for sure. I think it was Ceballos. Could be wrong. But yeah, Vlade Divac was like their best player. You got the old games where Kobe Bryant was coming off the bench. Yeah. When Kobe got there and Shaq got there, they were on the rise. But I'm talking about in New York City, you still wasn't seeing nobody pumping that. Because remember, Shaq had to earn his way to become the man. Because before he won the championship, he was Mr. I Get Swept. That was the running joke in the 90s. Was, yeah, Shaq is great, but he gets swept. It kind of was like, remember how LeBron rhetoric was before he won the championship? That's how Shaq's was, but it was even worse because he was getting swept. He got swept by the Jazz. He got swept in the finals by the Rockets, right? So Shaq had this reputation for getting swept. See, when we look at, that's what I'm saying, especially if you don't go back to the 90s. When you look at the 90s now and you wasn't there to really see what was going on, you would think that, yeah, Shaq had his respect from the beginning. Shaq didn't start getting his respect until he actually won the championship. Once they had that run in the early 2000s, that's when the Lakers went crazy. That's when it became Laker world all over again. But before that, nobody was jacking that. Nobody was jacking Shaq, bro. I'm telling you, you had to be there to remember it. Bro. Remember, New York City, we have people from everywhere. So you got people that move from other places here. So in New York City, yeah, it's a Knick town. It always is a Knick town. But you have fans that actually come from other places, or just because, it's a big media market, you watching everybody, right? You become a Bulls fan, right? I mean, It's simple like that. You meet a lot of Bulls fans in New York. Not to say that it was a Bulls town, because it's not. Most fans are Knicks fans, but you have people that come in with their Chicago Bulls jerseys, Sean Kemp, and all of that, right? I've seen it. I used to argue with these people every day at school, every day arguing. I'm telling you, bro. We argue, yo, bro. It was crazy. That's what I'm saying. I built to talk this basketball stuff. I'm having these conversations every day, bro. All day. We could talk all day about this every day. From since I was young to all the way to now. So there was nobody talking that Lakers talk until 2000s, bro. Because remember, Shaq was Mr. Get Swept. That was the logic on Shaq. In fact, some of you guys who might have watched The Last Dance that don't remember the 90s, you might remember there was a part in The Last Dance when Jordan first, I think this was in 96, when he first got that title back, and he was like, I ain't Shaq. I'm not Shaq. He said that in the clip where he was walking by somebody. He said, I am not Shaq. Right? That was a direct shot, especially because, remember, the Magic beat the Bulls in 95. So that was a direct, perfect example of the rhetoric that Shaq experienced. All right? Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did make Shaq cry. He was in the locker room crying. I'm willing to bet. Yeah, NBA Jam. Oh, man. Who remembers NBA Jam? Yeah, that's the throwback Jays, man. NBA Jam. And who was on the Knicks team? I think it was, who was on the Knicks team? Was it Starks, Ewing, and Oakley? I think that was the Knicks team. Starks, Ewing, and Oakley. I can't remember if it was that three or if it was another three, but I think it was Starks, Ewing, and Oakley. Because they had the first game, the first NBA Jam, there was just two guys. Then they had it where you could select between three or more guys. Like they kept, of course, changing the game up as it grew along. But I'm just trying to remember that first team. I think it was that team when you could pick three per guys. I think it was those were the three. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Nick Van Axel. Nick Van Axel was nice. I like Nick Van Axel. I'm related to Brunson and from my convo. Whoa, hold up. Whoa. What? So we got somebody, Joel King. He says, I'm related to Brunson, and from my convo with him, he's signing this season? Huh? Yo, listen to me, y'all. Listen to me good. If what Joel says is real, right? If he signs tomorrow, bro, yo, that is the move of the off season. That is the move of the off season. Because of everything I said, go back to the first 20 minutes of this episode. I broke down why Brunson's re-signing tomorrow is crucial for the franchise. That is the move of the offseason. Getting Brunson to sacrifice $100 million. Now, George, if you spoke with him, right? Come on, keep it real, bro. You had to tell him, like, you can't leave that $100 million on the table. Because that's what I would tell. I say, bro, you're going to leave $100 million on the I don't got the heart to tell a man to leave $100 million on the table. Like, that to me is like, I wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that next year comes and you don't sign for less than that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, it's options. Because look, what if Brunson becomes the MVP? What if Brunson becomes the MVP this season, right? No one foresee him top 5 MVP voting going into last season. What if this season Brunson balls out of this world, 30 points, 9 assists, Knicks is top seed in the East? I'm just saying, what if it happens? I think if he gets the MVP, he's entitled to more money because the max would have been 5 years, $314 to be All NBA again. The 270 is if he doesn't make All NBA. So if Brunson becomes the MVP, and now he commits to your organization, 4 years, 160 instead of the 300 million, bro. That's the major. That's a major win, bro. Now I'm not saying he's gonna be the MVP. I'm just saying like, sky is the limit, right? Sky ain't even the limit. Anything could happen. Knicks win the championship. He's the Finals MVP. How much money is the last year's Final MVP making? I'm just saying. So Joel, if that is true, that's crazy. Hold on. Let me see what Joel says. Joel said Julius is being shot, but not for Towns. There's a bigger name in the CAA family? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Whoa, Joel. How do you know all of this? How do you know all of this? And there's only one guy. No. Wait. Who the hell's in CAA? I know there's one big guy. There's one big guy. And he's a very big guy that's in CAA. His name is Joel Embiid. All right? So if you're talking about Joel Embiid, my ears is like this. Let's see. When I started watching the Knicks, we had Ray Lewis. Oh, damn, you go way back. Marvin Webster before Bernard King. Salute to you, Immortal Cuss. See, Immortal Cuss, he's pulling rank right now. He's trying to let you know he go back to the 80s. That's before my time, brother. I'm a 90s guy. You know, I was around in the 80s. I just didn't know what the hell was going on. You know, I was there, but that's before my time. I'm not even going to play. Now, when we talk about the 90s, that's more of my flavor. Let's see, AP in the arcade version, it was Patrick and Oak. The home version, it was Starks and Ewing. You're talking about, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the NBA Jam TE, the second jam, when they expanded the roster. Thank you, APC. I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm freestyling off the top of the head, right? But I knew it was Oakley. I remember Oakley and Ewing for sure. I'm just trying to remember if the third player was Starks. But yeah, Starks was also there. Okay. Lou Boogie said, breaking news, the sky is limit. Brunson statue, Lou Boogie. Tomorrow, if that man signs that contract, bro, man, I'm gonna say it right now, and I forgot to mention this. Jalen Brunson is top 3 Knick all time. If he signs that extension on Friday, he's top 3 Knick all time. Okay, top 5. No, top 4. Because off the top of the head, the Knicks I'm gonna put ahead of him off the rip is Walt Clyde. Nobody's above Walt Clyde. Pat Ewing, no way you could be above Pat Ewing. Those two guys, you can't pass. Everybody else, up for debate. I don't know. Melo, no, I don't know if I put Melo in the top. Top Knick all time. You got those 90s Knicks. Brunson might be top 3. Because I'm trying to see, because, like when they said that, some people said that Brunson is the best Knick point guard all time, I automatically think blasphemy because Walt Clyde is the best point guard all time. Multiple All-NBA, multiple All-Stars, 2 championships. Yeah, Brunson can't come in 2 years and surpass that. So I'm trying to think of the names that if you say Brunson is an all-time Knick, you'll look at me like I'm crazy. Maybe the guys in the 70s that go back to the 70s might look at me like I'm crazy. You might say Willis Reed. You might say Dick Barnett. You might say all those guys from back in those times. You not putting Brunson over them because they've been with the Knicks longer, tenured, and they won championships. Bro, this 2024, bro. If Brunson signs that contract, bro, he's top. Now, in terms of the Randle trade, if you're saying it's Embiid, hey, let me see what y'all talking about. Man. We got Joel King in the building, dropping the science. Might have broke some news. Lou Boogie said, "Are you from the Jamaican side?" Salute to the Jamaicans in the building. I'm representing y'all for sure. Let's see. Oh yeah, AP, yeah. Jalen Brunson's a star, man. I say he's a superstar, but people gonna say he can't be a superstar because whatever. I say he's a superstar. He's the best player in New York. You're the best player in New York, and New York is good. You're a superstar. How do you argue that? That's why, like AP say, he's on WWE and stuff like that. AP says, "I hope Joe is not a 76ers fan." Yo, salute to AP. Hey, I don't know. I never seen him before. Joel King has never commented on my channel before, so I don't know. Hold on, I got some. Oh man, I got more chats down here. Hold on, let me see. Hold on, wait. You see, AP, my best friend is Carmelo Anthony's cousin. That's a true story. Okay, looks just like him without the hype. We grew up in the BX, of course. Carmelo grew up in Baltimore, far younger. Yeah, that's a fact. Born in Brooklyn, but yeah, he definitely grew up his formative years. By the way, did you read the Carmelo book? It's a really good read. Really good read. So yeah, he claims both Baltimore and Brooklyn. Brunson wants to win now. New York, who's to say he can't have a chance to be a Knick all time? No, he's top 3. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm lost in the moment. Only Ewing and Walt Frazier. If there's more Knicks that you would say you wouldn't put Brunson ahead of, I respect it. Maybe Richie Guerin. I mean, but to be honest, bro, if he signs, if you know you got that man locked up for the next 4 years at a big discount, bro, like, nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And remember, we did have some reports early in the week that said that. Randle is the greatest Knicks power forward of all times. Prove me wrong. Ooh, that's a tough one. Dan, you might have a point because if you're going into the 90s, Charles Oakley, he was the most consistent Knick power forward. I don't think you had a power forward for more consistent years in a row than Oakley, because Amari didn't stay that long. Who else? In recent years, going backwards. Amari, Zach Randolph, no. Top power forwards from the Knicks. Who else they had? Drawing a blank. Yo, Randall might. He might be. Yo, he might be. I can't think of somebody better than Randall, especially. By the way, I was going to wait to say this in the video, but I'm going to say it right now. Do you know Randall could be the first Knick to sign 3 contracts since Ewing? Take that as trivia. Who is the last Knick to sign 3 contracts with the Knicks? That's why there could be a trade on the horizon. I just don't think it's going to be with for Towns. But I hope not. I like Randall because Randall is the best power forward to me. Greatest Knick power forward all time. He said Ewing, Reed, Frazier, Melo, Brunson. You know what, Lou? The only reason why I'll put him over Melo right now is because Melo only made the 3 playoffs. Hold on, how many playoffs did Melo make with the Knicks? Hold on, let's pull it up right quick. I don't think he made that many playoffs with the Knicks. I know he was scoring champion, multiple All-Stars. Hold up. Yeah, let's go to playoffs, right? We're going to go to playoffs. Yeah, Melo has only been to 3 playoffs. And his highest, the highest they've been was the second round. Of course, he has way more seasons than Brunson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in Melo's 6 seasons with the Knicks, he has 3 playoffs. Or 6.5, because he also got traded. Did I count that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't even count that. So yeah, so you got 3 playoffs in 6.5 years. Brunson's going into his. Is this his 3rd year? Yeah, Brunson's going into his 3rd year, and he's already about to be in 3 playoffs in 3 years. If he signs for 4 more years, you know he's going to be here for 4 more years with his Nova boys. And how many more playoffs will he go? So that's why I hear what you're saying, but I think I could put him over Melo. And I'm not trying to hate on Melo. If you want to say Willis Reed, I give you Willis Reed because he has the 2 championships. So I'll give you Willis Reed. So Ewing, Reed, Frazier, Brunson. I'll give you Reed because he won the championship. Melo only been to 3 playoffs. Brunson could go to 3 playoffs in his 3rd year. So yeah. But Melo did have the 3rd in MVP voting, All NBA 2nd team. Yeah, Melo was really balling this year, the 28.7 year. But I digress. Let me see what else you guys talking about. We're going to wrap up. Joel King is the Objective fans' breaking source. That's a fact. I'm looking for Joel King to say some more. That's why I'm kind of stalling. Oh, let's see. Remember, Melo wanted the bag, not a team. Imagine Melo took less. Ooh, Joel King. Yo, salute to Joel King, bro. I hope you really dropping some real science right now with the whole Brunson thing. But that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Brunson definitely wanted to take less money. Melo definitely wanted his money. That is a fact. That is a fact. And then also too, like when they got Melo to New York, they kind of butchered some of the team to bring him there. So that's why the first year wasn't really that good, but they did get better. That second year, right? That second year was, hold on, let me just double check. Make sure I ain't putting no caps on my raps. So yeah, that first year they went to the first round. Yeah, that second year, which is the year with 2012, when he got when he had 20. Yeah, this year hit. No, I'm sorry, the 3rd year. The 3rd year was the year when they made it to the Eastern Finals. Okay, so the 3rd year. Okay, so and then after that he kind of fell off the map, partially because how he was acquired. Brunson signed, Melo was traded, and then the re-up. Good point. I swear, I got some, you guys are definitely objective Knicks fans in the chat, right? Sometimes I make mistakes, so you guys keep me honest, because I ain't perfect. I'm on point, though, but I ain't, I will make mistakes. My mom used to work for Tibbs family, grew up in Britain, Connecticut. Okay. Wow, we got a lot of you guys connected to the Knicks, man. Thank you to all of the connections. Let's see. Bernard King was better than Randle. But Bernard King wasn't a 4. Bernard King was more of a 3. He was more, especially in the 80s. He definitely was a 3. Because think about it. In the 80s, power forwards wasn't doing what he was doing, spinning and doing all that stuff, fadeaways and pull-ups. And yeah, he was definitely a 3. Big guy, though. Definitely a big guy. But he wasn't a 4. Let's see. Lou Boogie, move over CP franchise. The Objective Knicks fans is where you get the breaking news. Hey, we ain't gonna put the CP, man. We can't push CP to the side. But yeah, we do break news on the Objective Knicks fans. Definitely subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I'm going a little late today, but I'm getting ready to wrap up. But I'm trying to see if Joel King has anything else to add. I do like Randle. Should be allowed to finish the job he started. 3 or 4. Okay. We talking about Bernard King 3 or 4? Yeah, but 3 or 4 is not a 4 though. Randle is a 4. He's a 4. So, but yeah, if Randle signs 3 contracts, he'll be the first dude to do that since Ewing. Because I don't even think Starks did that. Did Starks do that? I don't feel like looking it up. Maybe Oakley might have did it too. But yeah, you have to go back to the 90s to find the last time somebody signed 3 contracts. Melo didn't do it. Melo signed 2 contracts. No, Melo signed 1 contract. He signed 1 extension. He came because he had a deal already. He came and then he signed the 1 extension. Then he was traded. Who else? Randle signed 2. He signed his initial contract and the extension. He's due for the second. So that's 3. That would be 3 contracts. No one else has even gotten close to 2. Because they was trading guys. Like, guys were getting traded just like that. Mari definitely didn't sign 2 contracts. So, yeah, Randle could be the first since, like, the 90s. Whoa. You said Bernard King isn't better than Randle? That might be a poll. Bernard King. I'm going to give the edge to Bernard because I think Bernard, you know what, we could do a side. I'll save that. I'm getting ready to wrap, guys. Because we could be here all day. I was going to pull the numbers up, but I'm going to do that on another show. Let's see. Anything else, Joel King, before I wrap? Devin Booker was our biggest target before we got Mikal. Ooh, Joel talking talk. So Joel says that Devin Booker was our biggest target. Did they? So Joel, did they ever consider Paul George? Did they ever consider Paul George? Let's see. Wilson Chandler returned to the Garden for the first time since that trade for Melo. Yeah, he did. Wilson Chandler did return. I don't remember. It was a lot of Knicks there. And looking forward to watching Tyler play this Sunday. I want to see all of them. I want to see, salute to you, but I want to see Ariel. I want to see Ariel. I want to see all of them. Pacome. I want to see them all. There's a lot of talk about who's nice, who's this, that, who's that. But I will say this. I will preface this. Just because they don't have a good summer league doesn't mean they're not good. But Joel, what about Paul George? Any thoughts on Paul George before we wrap up? This was a popping show, y'all. Great conversations, man. Great conversations. Definitely get inside the Discord server. Joel, please, I would love to have Joel in the Discord server. You can scan the barcode. We do have a Knicks hat giveaway. All the details for that is in the Discord server. But the Discord is really about conversations, continuing the conversations that we have on YouTube, having it on the platform, level-headed Knicks course, level-headed Knicks talk. Of course, it's going to be respectful. That's how I do it. I don't do the ad hominems and all of that. I love to debate information any day or all day. But if we disagree on a point, I'm there for the smoke. I'm coming. I'm level-headed. You know what I'm saying? I'm a level-headed Knicks fan. And, I love the Knicks. But, I always keep it real. If we're honest, they never really gave Metal a real team around them. Yeah, part of that, Lou, and of course, Lou, we're not here. First of all, the Melo. I love Melo. He's from Kings County. That's rule number 1. If you from Kings County, that's just. Of course, if you're from New York City, it's the same love. But if you're from Kings County, there's something about that Brooklyn. We that's how we do. That's just. You understand what I'm saying? So just off of that, right? There's other ties that I have to Melo. I'll just say his philosophy in life. I have family that's also a part of that same philosophy in life. So we love Melo. We're just keeping it real, right? We're just keeping it real. Part of the reason why they couldn't put the team around Melo is because they traded some good pieces for him when, in reality, he could have re-signed in the offseason, right? So if you want to add Melo technically had 2 contracts because he did sign a deal when they did the trade. Then he re-up. He got another extension, right? There's only 2 contracts. Still isn't. Randle can do what Melo didn't even do, which is 3 contracts. But the point that I'm saying is part of the reason why is what Joel also said. They had to trade pieces to get him, and then he wanted the money. He wasn't willing to take a team-friendly contract, and I don't blame him. Get your bag. But that's why if I'm saying all-time Nick right now, that might be another poll. All-time Brunson, Melo. Poll. I write everything down. But I'm saying that, okay, if Brunson resigns for the low, this is the caveat. I'm talking about if he does what I think that Joel's saying he might do, what the media also kind of said he might do, he's top 4 Nick all time. He's top 4 just off signing that. That's the biggest move of the offseason. That would mean the Knicks would have 2 of the biggest moves in the offseason, bro. Come on, that's a big move. Coach, definitely salute to you, Coach, and salute to the chatter. Jalen Brunson's is spelling of. Oh, he's spelling this. Okay, the state of secrets to Joel. I would love for it to be true. We definitely gonna find out though. Donnie Walsh was horrible. Donnie Walsh. I'm gonna say. All right, so look, when you say Donnie Walsh was horrible. Wasn't Donnie Walsh the guy that was responsible for the moves for Melo and them, right? I'm going to say, and please, Dolan, don't kill me, but Dolan had something to do with that. Because remember, before Phil Jackson, Dolan was a very active figure in terms of the Knicks, everything. Moves, he was in the media. A lot harder to move when you have Dolan as a force, right? Because right now, Dolan is not a force. Dolan is allowing Leon Rose to do what he does. Do what you do. Maybe if Walsh would have had that same freedom, maybe instead of doing the trade, they would have signed him because Melo wanted to come to the Knicks. They could have signed him. Something different could have worked out. I don't even know what the cap room was, to be honest. So maybe they couldn't sign him. But they could have always did a sign and trade, and maybe doing the sign and trade, they wouldn't have to give up so much. I don't know if I would say Donnie Walsh was horrible. We had some very horrible GMs that I think deserved the title way more than him. I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't want to call out names. I could. Just go back to the post-Checkets, Grunfeld. Post those. Then you can see. Then look at records and stuff. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Lou. Definitely a great show. I'm about to. I just want to see what Joel, if he has any more jewels before we wrap up. Coach says the reason we couldn't build around Melo, not saving exemption for Amari's uninsured deal. Facts. But you know what, Coach? That if we didn't do that, if we didn't, honestly, it was the guarantee because he would have went back to Phoenix. They just didn't guarantee all years. They didn't want to give him a guaranteed contract because they said they had a doctor that said his knees, whatever. But the Knicks guaranteed him the 5 years. So, but that's a good point about the saving for the exemption with Amari. But that's the reason why he signed because the Knicks was billing the guarantee. That was mismanagement. Okay. Instead of, okay, on the expiring contract. Good point. But once again, Coach, he got the boss in his ear. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. Like, how would you move if you have a boss in your ear? Let's see. Coach is the man. Coach always got great points. See, Lou, Dolan was there. How much you gotta factor that into it too. Let's see, poor George. But Coach, Chandler helped us, bro. Chandler helped us get to that second round. He definitely helped us get to that second round. And then Felton was holding down the point guard spot. Now, of course, he ain't no CP3, especially during that time. CP3 was incredible. And Coach has a point. Have used Chauncey for a CP3 trade. All of that could be possible. But Chandler definitely helped us, though. Poor George, we couldn't give it out trading Randle. We wanted to pair them. Poor George. Oh, so George, okay. So he said we couldn't get poor George without trading Randle. And then we couldn't value Randle more. So I do want to comment on that. I presented a trade for Paul George. Now that I look back at it, it probably wasn't realistic. It was Bogey, right, who was the trade chip. We always knew he would be Mitchell Robinson, and unfortunately Deuce McBride for PG. But that also was us thinking we would bring back Hartenstein. So he's saying that Randle would have to go. But Joel saying that, hey, there is some resistance into not trading Randle. I know he said that there's another trade, but there's some resistance there. Oh look, of course, coach is gonna say the trade wasn't bad at all. Because Randle, but I wasn't trading Randle for Paul George. I don't think that's a good trade. James Dolan was responsible for Melo. Of course, yeah, because he was gonna get traded to the Nets. Of course, yeah. That's another good point, AP. The Knicks kind of had to trade for him because the Nets definitely was a live dog. That's a good point. And remember, I think the Nets just got to Brooklyn at that point. Yeah, I could see Melo wanted to go there. I ain't got no beef with Mr. Dolan more. He's all right for taking the back seat. Yeah, no, we ain't got no. First off, salute to James Dolan. I don't care what none of you guys say. I'm going to salute James Dolan. I think he's doing the right thing now. I think he hired the wrong guy when he hired Phil. But none of us knew Phil was going to be that bad. No one knew that. We all was hyped. You can't tell me you wasn't hyped when he's got Phil. But the logic that was, I'm letting Phil do the job because I realized, this is what Dolan said himself. He realized that he needed to get guys who were qualified to run the show. That wasn't really his expertise. So he brought guys in that new bat. Well, he thought he brought in Phil, but he said he was going to let Phil run the show. And then when he brought Leon in, and even when he let Mills and Perry for the 1 year run the show, he let them rock. And then when he brought Leon Rose in, all Leon Rose. So, yeah, we got to salute Dolan, man, because none of this could be done without him. You know what I'm saying? If he didn't bring Leon Rose in, yeah, we'd probably be in a whole different ball game right now. Let's see. Donnie Horrible with the 2009 draft. Damn, okay. Chandler was all right. Chandler kind of held it down. Immortal Cuts, Dolan got to squash the beef with Oakley. Don't want to get into that, really. I'm going to say this. An invitation was extended to Oakley. Come back to the Knicks game. And Oakley, within his rights, refused. Meeting did happen with Jordan. It was Jordan. I think Adam Silver was there. Dolan and Oakley. And so during the meeting, Dolan was willing to have him come to the Garden, back to the Garden, and try to quell it. Oakley didn't want to do it. He feels that Dolan owes him an apology. I don't know, man. I can see it from both sides. That's all I'm going to say about the Oakley stuff. I can see it from both sides. Because Oakley has a problem with a lot of people, not just Dolan. Oakley has a lot of problems with a lot of people, bro. But salute to Oakley, though. He still was Oakley was probably my second favorite Knick behind Ewing in the 90s. After my cousin. Oh, another thing too, Immortal Cuts. Look at how many other Knicks. Everybody else is in the Garden. Oakley's the only one that's not there. All right, so Joe, after my cousin signs, mark my words, a big trade will happen to push us to the finals this year. And that trade may bring us the center from Utah in a 3-team deal. So hold on, wait. So when you say a big trade, because the kid from Utah is not a big trade, unless you're saying it's going to be Lauri Markkanen and Kessler to the Knicks for Randle or something like that. Who do you think will be in the trade? I know you probably can't say inside sources, but I'm curious to know. I said no, I was talking about the Melo trade. Oh, he's talking about Melo trade. Okay. I got you, coach. That would make my summer. He says McBride, they like too much, especially if Cole. Yeah, I don't think it makes sense to trade McBride. I spoke about this on the pod too. I said that McBride, he's on a favorable contract. He's getting paid what, $13 million for 3 years, and he's a solid backup point guard. Dolan found the best front office. Facts. Of course, AP. Everybody thought Phil was gonna be the guy. You're not the only one. Everybody did. I thought it. Thank you, King. I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna be back here on Monday, level-headed. I'm sorry, this week inside the New York Knicks. Every Monday, I'll be back around 2 p.m. You'll get the notification. Definitely join the Discord. Everybody who's not in the Discord as well. www.theobjectiveknicksfan.com, or just click the links in the description in the chat box. They took Jordan Hill in 2009. Yeah, that was terrible. Oakley wants to come in your house with muddy shoes, and they put. Ooh, Coach is talking. See, I don't want to go to the Oakley conversation, but Coach has a point. Coach has a point. And to be fair, Oakley threw the first blow when it came to the security. He threw the first blow, bro. He definitely did. We cannot. This channel is all facts, no cap. He definitely did. So while I understand why, I think it was Immortal Cousin said that, you got to apologize to Oakley. There's some underlying things there that is not as clear-cut as you think it is for either side. Let's see. Danny said he's already wants to deal like Brooklyn. You got Laurie. I ain't gonna lie to y'all though. I don't want Laurie marketing for Randle. I'm just letting you know that right now. If you want to trade Randle, you got to do better than Laurie marketing. I'm sorry. Okay, Lou said Jalen Duran, Sengun. He's a little young. Sengun's a little young, but he's talented, bro. But I want Kessler though. I want a small move. I don't want to do all this big trades, bro. I don't want to do these big trades. But yeah, King, to wrap up that point, King, do you have? Because you're talking about. You said Jalen. No, that was Lou Boogie. What players do you think would be in that big trade? I don't want to, I don't want you to blow your, say too much that you can't say. But I'm just. Subscribe, y'all. We need him talking with CP soon. Oh, yeah. Yo, salute CP, KnicksFanTV. First of all, I'm from Kings County. We spread love the Brooklyn way. I have no issues with nobody. I want to see everybody win. We could disagree respectfully. I salute CP. And CP doesn't even want to see the deal go down. So, he's just saying what he thinks. And he might have some Joel King level information. So, yeah. Hey, CP, Objective Knicks fan, let's go. It'd be a crazy show. Crazy show for sure. Well, I'm going to wrap up, Joel. To everybody in the building, Coach, AP, everybody that was here, Immortal Cuts, to all the Discord, to all the people that's joining the Discord, Lou Boogie, everybody, man, salute to you guys, man. We did a 3-hour show. That might be the record. That might be the longest stream ever. Salute to you guys, man. Great conversation. I had a great time. Definitely look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. I might drop another little clip in between then. Be on the lookout for that. And man, that's all for this video. So until next time, let's go Knicks.